And we are live. Black Comic Lords in the building. What's up, everyone? It is not Wakanda whiskey and blurdom. I do
Well, it
not
is. It
have any
is, but it's
whiskey
not.
with me. It
Uh-oh.
is, but it's not. I've got
That's your fault.
instead of whiskey, I've got a great glass of water.
Well, I've got this
Um,
Pierce right here. Is what I have,
and
and it's
he's
pretty tasty.
frozen, so that's just awesome. We have
Am I
something a
still
little bit
frozen?
more special for you guys tonight. Um, there's sometimes we luck out and have the opportunity to speak to creators that are on the come up, and there are no two hotter names in comics today than Murewa Ayodele and Dotun Akande. So we're happy to have the opportunity to speak to them tonight. So without any further ado, I bring you Maria Ayodele and Dotun Akande.
Hello, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
How
you
Good
you
for
guys
having
evening,
me.
doing?
or should I say good morning?
Yeah, morning. Yeah,
So
Are
first
you
off,
all in
where
Nigeria now?
yeah.
Yes, we're both in Nigeria.
what time is it where you are right now?
2:20.
2:20
A.M.
Yep.
a.m.
Okay, so we're gonna keep this short so you guys can get your beauty sleep.
We
Thank you
smoked
guys for
solid
staying.
already.
Thank you guys for staying up late to talk with us. Hopefully, you got a nap in, and it is our distinct pleasure to have both of you guys here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Let's first. This is a comic show. This is a comics channel. So let's talk comics. How did you guys get into comics?
Dotun?
Yeah, for me, I think it started with cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons, CDs and DVDs and all of that. Tom and Jerry, Samurai Jack, uh,
Ah,
Right.
Dita, um, what else? X Men Evolution, all of that. So
right.
when the DVD, I would pause and start to sketch out keyframes and try
Okay.
to flip in the book, try to animate few scenes that I really liked. And I think someone in the house said, "Why don't you create your own story instead of replicating what you're watching?" And I'm like, you know what? I like Zeta Project. I'm going to do one also. And then I started writing. I wanted to be a writer. I started writing and drawing my comics. It was also about a robot that went rogue, like Zeta Project. And that was my very first comic. Yeah, then I
What
started
about
drawing my classroom with my friends, making fun of teachers, and I wasn't really a naughty student or anything, but I did some things and passed them around, and people would laugh and they would catch me and then punish me, things like that. But
And
I
look where you ended up for being punished.
sorry,
I said, look where you ended up for being punished.
I that I could make people laugh and make people like I could, control emotions and all of that. So I felt like, okay, this is really interesting, and I want to keep doing this. It all started with cartoons.
So let me
what
ask you
about
this real
what
quick.
about
Hold on
you,
a second.
Ayodele?
It's
Hold on a
it's
second,
it's
Paul. Hold on.
it's basically the same thing. We basically started out with animation and cartoons, and we share a mutual love for Genji Tartakovsky on Samurai Jack. We were complete fans of his work, and gradually, as you get into animation and this music band called the Gorillas, where
Ah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
so as you
Clint Eastwood.
yeah, as you get interested more in animation, then you find out that a lot of these people in animation came from something called comic books. They used to all work on comic books to some extent, and then you fall in love with DC and Marvel characters, and like yeah, like they all came from this thing called comic books. And I lived in a very small town in Nigeria called Oshogbo, where basically there was no access to any such thing. But then there was this comic book that was viral in Africa called Super Strikers. Is
Yeah.
a comic book of football, of a football team, a soccer team, and that one went viral. But I wasn't much of a fan of soccer, but I knew it existed. So there's a memory I usually call back often, and that's the fact that I went to supermarkets once, and then I saw these books with Spider-Man on the cover, and I was like, "Oh, this is the comic book they tell me about." So I ran towards it, opened it. It was a coloring book. I was so disappointed. So I've always had this interest in comic books, but I never had one to hold or read. So, but I was always writing, and many times the stories I wrote were about superheroes and trying to create my own characters, trying to use some open domain characters, playing around with that. But when I eventually had like enough money and there was I had my own laptop where it connect to things like comicsology and stuff. That's when I got into comics. So I kind of it took a while to discover like comics, and I think my first comic was a Greg Capullo book. And at the time, I was like, "Who is this guy? Why is everything all scratchy?" Because it came from animation where all the art is always very clean lines and stuff. So
Right.
I expected something like that. Then I started seeing scratchy things. I'm like, oh. But after a while, I was able to like understand the various art styles that you have in comics and appreciate all of them in their own unique ways.
So let me ask you guys this. You mentioned some American cartoons. Were there cartoons from other nations that you guys watched? Were there any Nigerian cartoons that existed that you watched?
Definitely, definitely. A lot of manga, anime, and so there was this girl in my class back in high school. Um, she somehow had access to comic books and all types of comic books, even manga and everything. And I think she had someone who lived abroad who sent those things. So what we did was we had this trade by barter system where um, you give me a comic book for the weekend, and I will do all your illustration assignments, like biology assignments, where they ask us to draw the human skin or the respiratory system or whatever. So I'll do all your assignments, I'll do all the drawings, and I'll have your comic book for like the weekend or a week, depending on how much you can find a compromise here. So I read all of that. I read a lot of Archie comics. I read a few silent comics. I read some manga. I read a lot of American comics from her. I know I did not return one. Still breaks my heart. I'm sorry, wherever you are. I didn't return some of those comics, and I think I misplaced it or something. I can't remember. But yeah, I found it later in my box at home. So so yeah, so I had access to comics through her. Then my brother got me my first comic book. Might be mixing up the timeline here, but that was my first comic book with my brother. So I was introduced to a lot of different comics from um, the eastern part of the world, most from America. And the things I watched were mostly American. And then I saw this Dragon Ball Z
Yes.
blew my mind. I'm like, what is this? Spiky hair and colored hair and everything. I'm like, oh my god, so there's a different world from everything I know already. Fine. Digging through. I found out more. I found out Naruto, found out some other things. We're still watching things on Crunchyroll today. Murewa and
Yes. Yes.
So
What, what
yeah.
about what about you, Ayodele?
Okay.
Um, I didn't know they were different because I think I was watching most of them on Cartoon Network and Disney and stuff like that. It was
Right.
later I found out that there's a cartoon I really liked called Robot Boy, but it's produced in France, and I I
I know
I,
that
I,
cartoon.
I, I didn't know it was produced there. So there, like the Super Strikers cartoon, I think it's produced in South Africa. Well, I just assumed everything streamed from the same location. So it took a while to start, especially doing research. Like, oh, this is from this country, it's from this country. But I just basically consumed everything. If it was good, I watched it. And I think the first anime I watched, which I didn't know it was an anime, was it sounds odd. It was Mew Mew Power. It's like
I'm sorry.
this thing,
Say that again. What's it
Mew
called?
Mew Power. It's
Never heard of
it's
that
it's
one.
it's like Sailor Moon, but they transform into like cat ladies, and stuff like that. I really love that. It's a bunch of just strange things that I just enjoyed and fell in love with it. I didn't care where they were coming from as long as they were fun and exciting. I
Right.
was good. Disney
So,
classics like Hercules, everything.
mm, you guys mentioned Jindy Tartakovsky. Did you guys ever watch Symbionic Titan?
Yes.
Sounds very
Genji
familiar.
Tartakovsky, Symbiotic Titan, about two kids and a robot, but the robot is camouflaged as a far white guy.
Right, right. I love that show. I was upset that it only had one season.
Yeah, but I think
So,
my favorite show of that genre was Megas XLR.
Yes.
What's it called?
Megas XLR.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's about a giant robot like a mecha was
Mm-hmm.
built in the future, sent to present time into a junkyard. So there's this guy that's a mechanic, is fat and chubby and everything, and he tricked it out, gave the head is destroyed, so he puts a car on the head of the giant, and then he likes eating food, so the way he drives and everything with his giant mecha, wreaking havoc and everything. So it was very, very fun and exciting. So those were the kind of shows that I think we still have a love for mecha and kaiju. If you
Right.
notice, most of our stories, you see this a giant monster. There's always a giant
Yes.
monster. So in I think the first issue of Iron Man, Iron Man transforms into like a with add light construct into basically a giant mecha to fight a big monster. So yeah, that one was very nice. And the reason why I liked it especially so much is because the protagonist wasn't a clean cut guy. He was fat,
Mm.
he was chubby, he likes eating food, he's always irresponsible. After every fight, the whole city is destroyed, but magically everything returns back to normal the next episode. There's an episode where like a Power Rangers esque team, because they have Zords that they can stack
Right.
and become a giant mecha too. They came to Earth and he was a better fighter than them, and he basically taught them to be responsible. So the Power Rangers now became this terribly responsible team, but now they won't fight. So it's a fun show.
If you
Very
so
guys
how
have
did you
never
how
seen
did you get?
Robotech, if you guys have never seen Robotech, I'm just gonna throw that out there. That's an anime. That's a mecha anime that was around when me and Paul were kids. So if you've never seen that one, I'm gonna suggest that one too.
Yeah, I just wrote it down. Paul, you wanted to
What
say something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. So, how did you make the transition to decide? You know what? I want to take my love for comic books and make my own comic book. I wanted to get into the industry of making books. What? How was that transition?
It's I know most of the time comic fans want to hear how you are in love with comics, especially more than any other medium. But
Mm.
the thing that I love is anything illustrated. If it's a painting, I like it. If it's comic book, I love it. If it's illustrated storybooks where you just have prose combined with artwork, I love it. If it's cartoon, as long as is this as long as human beings put this visual thing together, I completely love it. I love animation more than live action movies and everything.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
When I wanted to get into comic books, I started out with prose, like a novel. So I would ask Dotun to like draw covers for me, and then we would interspace some pages of text with artwork. But just because I was so in love with superhero stories, so I was reading more of comic books than any of the visual stuff. And because we wanted to, so we fell in love with that medium as well. And the love keeps growing and growing. So everybody was doing superhero comics in Nigeria back then, because that was also the height of the MCU, where the MCU was really influential. So we wanted to stand out from the crowd. So we didn't actually start out with superhero stories. We were telling sci-fi stories, fantasy
Hmm.
stories, moving away from that direction. And the funny thing is, when other creators in on the continent were now moving towards fantasy and stuff, then we now did New Men, where we now moved away and went into like this superhero kind of thing. So it was so yeah, it came from a passion of we wanted to tell stories, and we were reading more of comics than any other thing, and then we fell in love with comics, and to a certain extent, comics was easier to also put together than an animated project. Your
Right.
ideas just flow out and come out weekly. I think there was a time Dotun and I we released comics weekly, as in like a lot of pages. We were just producing content. There's a publishing company in Nigeria called Comic Republic, and they have like
Yeah,
this,
I know Comic Republic.
yeah, and they have like this troop of writers and writers and artists and everything. And there's a point in a year where we were producing the same number of comics, even though we were just two guys. So that's how much we were just there, just churning out pages and stories.
Don't
So
forget,
yeah,
sick every
you say,
time. I was getting ill every time.
yeah, yeah.
So
How,
so
how,
that
how,
makes it
how
that
did you
makes it the
guys?
question, right? What Paul was getting ready to ask you. How did you guys meet each other?
Oh,
Don't.
we went to the same university.
Oh, okay.
So
Let
So
me.
so what was the first book that you guys worked on together?
Okay, hold on. I'll answer that question. I like sharing this story, and I know Murewa is already sweating. Let me tell you how I. Let me tell you how I found out about this guy. I'll give you the abridged version because it's
Okay.
kind of embarrassing. I know. Sorry, Murray. So we were fresh in school, first year. Nobody was talking to nobody. We're still trying to understand ourselves and the school and everything, the system, the lecturers, what to do, what not to do, all of that. And people were still like this their pretentious stage to be who they are not.
Trying to
And
be
then we
cool.
trying to be cool, exactly. And then we had this class with this lecturer who everybody feared and respected and whatnot. So we're all on our best, but on our best behavior, quiet. Just it was a programming class. Yeah, I think we're on Pascal that day, learning Pascal, and this man never smiled, never smirked, nothing, just a straight deadpan face. And if you came late to his class, you're going to stand outside and miss. I think there was an attendance they usually take every time, and you're going to miss your attendance and kind of miss some points in your overall score or whatever. The stakes were really high at the time. You came late to his class. So Murewa came late that day, and he was outside with some other latecomers. And he didn't even need to tell you to stay outside. You just know that you can't come into the class with his deadpan face. You just don't even want to try to talk to this man. And I felt bad for everybody outside. I just wished the man could allow them in. Here comes Murewa, almost skidding, sliding into the class like the footballer who had just scored, but on all fours and begging and shouting at the top of his voice, "Sir, we're sorry. We're sorry. We'll never do it again." I'm like, what? Who is this guy? When everybody's like trying to act right and be cool, here comes Nora, all dramatic. It was a show. Immediately I was drawn to this guy. I was in love with this guy. Like, who is this guy? This guy has to be my friend. I love the boldness. I love the authenticity. Damn, I like this guy. I want to be this guy's friend. So he begged and shouted at the top of his voice. And this crazy lecturer who would never smile just started smiling. I was like, what? You to him? Damn. Okay. And then I thought he was just going to smile. I said, get out of my class, what nonsense. And then he said, okay, you know what, come in. Everybody outside, come in, come in. I'm like, what? Murewa, you did this. Wow, you did this. I was so impressed. And I made it my mission to get close to this guy. And I found out again that he was such an amazing programmer because we studied computer science. He was even the best in the whole school. So I was like, oh, nice, nice. He's not just a dramatic, crazy person. He's actually very intelligent too. So that's how I met Murewa.
How long have you guys been friends?
E.
Yeah, I don't think we put a number to it yet. Probably 10 years.
10 years.
10 years. Okay.
More than 10 years,
So
actually.
So
Definitely
let
more
me
than
go back to the question I asked before. So what was the how did you guys get do your first comic book and what was it?
Um, like you said, we were friends in school, so we hung out together. We shared love for Batman, especially. That always had this screensaver on his laptop of Batman with his mask, but with a towel. He was naked with a towel, just finishing his bath, and it calls Batman. So that's what they wrote. So we kind of joke around about stuff, and but because I was into at the time where MC was at its height was also the time where tech industries were at their height. You get people were hearing, you're hearing things about Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, all those stuff. So everybody was trying to create a tech company, and I was in computer science, so obviously, tech company. So, and like you said, at least in my level, it was until I got to like 300, 400, I could say that I was the best in the school, but I was the best in my I was the best amongst my classmates in
I'm going
programming.
to you there, Murewa. He's
Yeah.
been very modest. You were the best in the school, even at whatever level we're in. We just didn't know. That's a fact. But go
What
on.
school was it? What school did you guys go to?
Redeemers University.
Say it again.
Redeemers University. Churches have universities and everything. So we worked on. Dotun was a superb graphics designer. He went after I finished his secondary school. He went to like study graphics design at some kind of place where you get some certificates and stuff. So it was very very good in graphics design, and I wanted the, the project we work on to look good. So sometimes we stay after school, like after the holidays, we still be in the hostels and we'll be working on projects. So we're already used to working where I write the code, it designs the visuals, which is basically comic books. You write the script, it designs the visual. So we've been working on that. And when I got to 400 level, I kind of got tired of school. Now that I'm older and I know some of these things, I guess I was going through a depressive state. I was actually depressed. So I was always super late to class and so many things. And the only thing that could get me through it was watching anime and writing stories. So I was like, okay, Dotsu, what if this team work we're doing with projects on software projects, what if I write the story and you draw them? And it was like, okay, let me think about it just for a few seconds. And it says, hell no, I want to pass. You've given up on you've given up on having good grades and graduating from this school. I have not. I still want to graduate. So it's like, hell no, I'm not helping you with anything. So I had to wait till we graduated. And here, I think after we finish, well, when you graduate, you have to serve the government for a year in like this paramilitary kind of thing. So after that, we just started working together right away on comics, on different projects. So that's how long we've been working together. I think 2017.
Have you guys ever made any cartoons? I know you've done the comic books, but have you guys, especially in those early days, made any cartoons yourselves?
Mm,
Yeah,
I
then
think I made like an animated logo for the school then using Blender. We did a kind of like a motion comic called Man of the Law on YouTube. Um, just very small things that we never publish and we just show each other. Very
So,
very
Man of the
small.
Law is on YouTube right now.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's more like a motion comic kind of thing.
Oh, good
I
enough.
used to make stick figure animations on an app called Stick Figure Animator at that time. Well, I think I was so young. I was funny enough, very strange thing. Even though they were stick figures at some point, I think I was animating pornography with these stick figures. It's strange stuff. I've just done different stupid things with we've just tried everything. Anything as long as because I can't draw, that's a very odd thing. Even though I'm a very visual person, I can't draw. So if there's any way of expressing myself visually, I've tried it, especially when it comes to 3D softwares and animator softwares. So, but now I've gone lazy since I have Dotun, so I always call him for anything. I think there was a time we worked together on. There was a babe I was trying to ask out then, so I
Ah,
think we so I our birthday the next day, so I begged him and say, okay, let's put this little video together It's like a
Little
I
video.
don't he had to work overnight to put together something like a little animated stuff with stories. I even paid the voice actor and everything. Yeah, too bad she still didn't say yes, but it's
She dissed you.
So what
yeah. So,
what was what was the first book that you guys worked on?
mm, Cliff. It's a
That you
black, white,
published,
and
that you
red.
actually published?
Ah, it depends on the definition of publish. We had a
Tell
website where we publish all this stuff, but when we started working with Marvel and we didn't have time to go back and edit some things, we just took down the entire website because we felt ashamed of some of the things that were there and we're not ready to go back and edit them. So we're like, we just took down the entire website. So the only thing you probably see online, we printed some, but but the first book you probably see online will probably be New Men. But we have
Newman.
a bunch of stuff before that.
So Dotun, how did you guys? Well, Paul's about to get into
So
this,
this
but
is
how
this
did you
is
guys? Go ahead. Yeah.
this Newman. It was what company was this?
Action
Action.
Lab.
Action Lab. Action Lab. What was the story about?
Okay, yeah. Before I get to that, I think I saw a question that you put up from the chat about was American comics easy to get into? Oh no. I
Yes,
don't think
Gordon.
it's yeah. Um uh it was hard to get into American comics. It was very hard. And that was at the height of the height of popularity of the MCU. I checked on so I usually use I think back then YouTube was only doing videos about origin stories and all those stuff of all the characters that show up in the MCU. Um there were websites that wrote articles on where to start. But the thing about readers is because they always tell you to read books that they grew up on. And sometimes not many of them were easily accessible if you didn't even know any of the characters. Some art styles that comic book fans love, a new person doesn't really like them. For example, art in the 90s. I love them now, but I assure you most new readers would not necessarily like that art style. So I think the first comic that actually made me like a Wednesday warrior kind of thing where I would start a book and finish it, not just start and was Saga by Brown K. Vaughan. And it's probably
Okay.
because of my sensibilities. Fiona Staples drew, she said it herself. She drew the work as though they were cartoon cells, animation cells, where you have flat characters, painted background. Yeah. So, but when that started, I sometimes I went back to read older comics. Watchmen was very nice. The Killing Joke was very accessible. Any new reader
Right.
could read the Killing Joke. It's easy. The panel layout is easy to follow. Um, Frank Miller's work, especially on Sin City, very accessible. Um, Dark Knight Returns not so accessible, but most people don't know. The Sin City is more accessible to new readers than Dark Knight Returns. Um, I had experiences discovering new stuff and old stuff. Scott Snyder's Batman was phenomenal. It took a while to adjust to Greg Capullo's artwork, coming f- coming from a background where you expect clean lines, but that was very easy to follow. Jeff Lemire's work, especially and Mark Miller on Old Man Logan, and some of his indie work, even like there's this indie work, his first published trilogy, Essex County. Essex
Mm.
County was very smooth to read. So
I want
there are a
to be
lot of
sure, I want to be sure we're answering that question correctly. I think I'm not sure now. Maybe Gordon can help me here. I think Gordon is asking if we. I mean, I think it means accessible as in were we able to get
oh
them?
buying them.
Yeah,
Oh
Yes.
that was equally hard too.
yeah, that was hard. That was very hard.
That was hard. That was
So
hard.
Dotun,
Do they have?
hold on, Dotun. So there were no, so it, where you guys lived, there were no comic book stores. When you go to the grocery store, there were not rounders with comic
Huh?
books and
No,
stuff like that.
no.
So in Lagos, where I stay, which is like the hub of everything in Nigeria, Lagos, Abuja, those are like the main places where you can find anything and everything. Even in Lagos, where I found some of the comic books I later found in life, they would have like issue 35,
And
just
that's
one,
all.
and that's all. And I'm like, how am I to jump into this, you know? Or they would just have like, uh,
And it'll probably be brown because it's not
yeah,
even new comic.
new,
It's
yeah,
there's a rich person. It's usually the rich people, especially people that travel abroad that
yeah,
have the comics, and they would have that. So maybe some of them moved, and then some people just take what they want, and then it finds its way back to a bookshop. That's where you
yeah,
now see it. There's always random issues.
yeah.
So,
Brand,
but our dad's generation, you said?
no, go on, go on.
Yeah, our dad's generation found books easy to buy for some reason. I don't know. I think maybe because the colonials were still around or something. I'm not sure. Because I know people in my dad's generation, they know Galactus, they
Yeah,
know Thor, they know Stanley. So, but there was a time where it became, I think that was the time of the newsstand. The news people when people hear about, oh, the newsstand sold 1 million copies, I think people think everything was sold in America, but not really. Some actually got shipped to Africa and stuff like that. I think Nigerians bought a lot of comics then. Dave Gibbons even did. I think the first Nigerian superhero was drawn by Dave Gibbons. I think
is it
the guy that you watched then,
Power
Power
Man?
Man, yeah, Power Man and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So yeah, we were connected to the comic book industry during our dad's time, but I'm not sure what happened. Maybe it was government policy, maybe it was the colonials or anything. Something happened, and then we just stopped getting comics. And I lived in a
So,
small town,
so
so
Dotun,
Yeah.
Dotun, the comic books that you stole from your classmate, were they a so were they a whole set, or was it like sporadic issues?
Yes, sporadic issues, but I didn't
Okay.
mind. Like,
So you never at that time of your life, you never saw like issues 20 through 30 or 40
no,
through 50 or
uh-uh.
whatever. It was just
there's nothing like, oh, I read a run. No, 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 no. There's no I read a run. There's I read a comic.
Yeah, I read the comic, never read the run.
You guess you
got
read a run.
you,
So
got you.
Wow.
we on YouTube to watch about comics.
Yeah. So that's
So
why I
so
think that
so
things that comics
so
explain
today,
not.
so you watched a lot of YouTubes that would explain the comics, but not have access to the actual runs.
Yeah.
We have
Was
uh,
it today is digital comics very popular? Because I would think that'd be a lot more accessible.
It was for a
yeah,
while,
had access to
but
comics on
then yeah, through Comixology. And then some
Amazon.
government policies happened where you can't use your Nigerian card to buy things on a foreign website.
Yeah,
I
When you
think
say
maybe
hold on, when you say Nigerian card, you mean like your bank card or what?
yes, like your MasterCard, Visa,
Right, right,
and
right,
stuff
right.
like that. Like if it was connected to a Naira account, which is the local currency, you could not buy things on foreign websites. I think Nigeria has a high level of internet fraudsters. So I think it was a way to curb them, but it ended up affecting a lot of businesses. So there was a time we were getting things in Comixology, we're getting used to it, and then suddenly gone, your cards weren't working anymore. So
Mm.
so for a long time it was crazy. So sometimes you could so I have like people that have domiciliary accounts or people or like my sister that is in the UK. I was okay, let me buy this, let me get this, let me send this over. So that's basically the level of comics you get.
Got you. Before we go to the
Are
next
there
question,
is there
well, I was just gonna say, go through some of the comments real quick.
Okay.
I beg your pardon?
Go through some of the comments real quick. I know people have been commenting.
Yes, we'll get to the comments.
So piracy is basically very popular over here. Most comic book fans pirate, and not because of choice, but there's literally no option. But people that have iPhones, because you can do some payments through iPhones. You can have the Marvel app, the DC app.
Yeah,
So those work. But Amazon, they would need you to like go to their website and not pay through Apple. So yeah, stuff like that. So if you had a DC app, Marvel app, I have a Marvel app. That's why I read a lot of back issues and research for my work.
Got you.
Is there a big Nigerian comic scene? Because I know you mentioned Comics Republic as being one of the books that you guys had interacted with, but is there a large Nigerian comic book scene?
Yeah, there's a large one, but we're also not sure how large it is. This is what I mean. We have I think one major comic book convention. One is just starting up, and that's the Lagos Comic Con, and
Mm.
a lot of people come there, and just like the San Diego Comic Con, it's not as big. It's not nearly as big. It's very small. But what I mean by like San Diego Comic Con is it's not just comics. You have
Yeah.
cosplayers, you have movie guys, animation guys. So it's more like a geek con. So it's a geek culture kind of thing.
What
So
time of
and
year is that? What time of year is it? When is it?
September,
Ah, okay.
it's September, it's just around September 15. So so there's that, and there's Ibadan Comic Con that just started, and it's going well and everything. But you can't really say Comic Con is the size of the comic book industry. You have to also look at, okay, how many readers are how many, what's the audience number for the big publishers, and for example, Comic Republic, some of their fans are outside the country, some are within the country, so you don't know. And sometimes some comic book publishers, to be able to get investments or movie deals, they inflate their number of viewers to what it's not. So sometimes you see a publisher saying we get 5 million views, and despite having 5 million views, they go out of business. And before they went out of business, they weren't able to pay any of the artists and writers for like years. And like, dude, there's no way you have 5 million views and you're struggling to pay these guys. So we're not sure yet, because a lot of the people that started the major publishing firms here started it during the height of the MCU. The MCU really made people aware of comic books. It made comic books cool. So most of the people that started wanted a way to, when Nigerians, we like business, wanted to quickly monetize a lot of IPs. So because they were more businessmen than creatives, we're not sure how true the things they say, the true image of those things. So we're not sure how large it is, but there is an audience. Some of them stick to webtoons, some of them stick to pirated Marvel DC books, some of them only read Nigerian comics. So it's also a very diverse group. It's very strange. I think when we had our own website, our viewership was low, was maybe around 2,000. But despite 2,000 views, it was always like scattered. As high as 10% could be from the UK. No, as high as 40% could be from the UK, about 10% from the US, and in South American countries, maybe about 5%. So it was always very diverse.
So let me ask you
Doton,
this.
let me
So go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Doton. One of the this question is for you. Who's the top comic character in Nigerian comics or Africa altogether?
Hmm,
Top comic character.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
There are many that are equally popular.
I'm thinking
What
of the
is it?
public guy. The
What'd you say?
Guardian Prime?
Guardian Prime, yeah.
Nah, but
Guardian
a lot
Prime of Comic Republic. Yeah.
of Comic Republic. But
You know him.
before, yeah, but before Vortex went under, Vortex had a lot of characters that were equally popular too.
Is
June
Vortex a
12,
company?
Strike Guard, Vortex Comics.
Vortex.
I
What
thought there was
character would you say was the most popular from Vortex?
June 12 and Strike Guard.
It was called June 12th. What?
Yeah, there's a character called June 12, and there's another character called Strike Guard.
Oh, that's weird. June 12th is my birthday. I was thought it was kind of interesting.
It's our democracy day. So the guy
yeah.
was in white green. But right now, it's, yeah, you're probably right. Since Vortex went on, it's probably Guardian Prime. It's the Superman of it's
Right.
basically our own Superman.
That universe.
But But he didn't say superhero comics. He said comic book character. So it's
Yeah, that's
probably so it's probably no, it's probably someone from Super Strikers,
oh
Shegs.
Africa. If it's Africa, then it's
If
super.
it's both Africa and Nigeria, it's probably Shegs from
He
Super
said
Strikers.
Nigeria or Africa altogether.
Yeah, it's probably Shegs from Super Strikers.
That's true. If it's Africa, yeah. If
Yeah,
it's
So
Nigeria,
The
is
footballers.
that a group? Is that a group like the Justice League or something?
yeah, but they're football players, soccer
Oh,
players.
got you.
Yeah, so it's probably Shegs. And something about Super Strikers that's funny is this: to appeal to every country and their culture, they tweak the names of their football players a little to sound more like where, for example, in Nigeria is Shegs, short for Shegun, but in South Africa it's called Shakes,
shakes.
like you shake someone's hand. You get so that's what they tweaked the name so that each country will feel like, oh yeah, it started in our country. It took a long while before we knew it started in South Africa. We thought it was a Nigerian comic. So every country thinks it's their comic. But one thing
So
I don't like to do because they don't give credit to writers and artists. It's just a product. So you don't even feel so you don't feel like somebody drew it. It feels like they exist somewhere and someone just took their pictures and put it in a comic.
Enough. I appreciated that when I was much younger. I
Yes.
made it real
Yeah, you made it through.
and
You don't
immersive.
think there are creators behind it. You don't
Yeah.
think there's somebody drawing it. You don't think there's anything.
The
But
moment the moment I saw them on TV and they were talking about the creative process and everything, I was taken out of that immersive thing. Oh yeah, that's true.
oh yeah, they don't exist.
Exist.
But see, doesn't it make it difficult to find work for the individuals? Like we have
yes.
fans, you
Yes.
know,
When we not
as
grew up,
comic book fans, right? We
when we
like a
not grew up,
particular artist, we like
yeah.
a particular writer. When you have that situation where you don't know who does whatever, isn't that somewhat of a detriment? You think?
Yes, I agree with you. As adults, because I wanted to know those artists, I wanted to know
Yeah,
those creators. When we started our company, wanted to see, and we got some investment money. Wanted to see, can we hire some of these guys? You get,
yeah.
but we had no idea who any of them were. None. But what Dotun was saying is that as kids,
As kids, yeah,
the fact that there was nothing there, it
Yeah,
just made it so real. And the fact
yeah,
that they also changed the names to names in your country. So the super strikers to us feels like, oh, because for example, in Nigeria, our football team, our soccer team, they're called the Super Eagles.
yeah.
So like, oh, the super striker, that's just like super, that's us now. That's us. So you get so a lot of Nigerians would bet their life that Super Strikers is a Nigerian comic.
Or
So
this is about the
so
super.
this is the follow up question. He says, how do Nigerians and Africans as a
oh, they love
whole
Black Panther.
like Black Panther?
They love Black Panther. They love Black Panther.
so I
I
get the so I get the impression that they like Black Panther. Is that true?
Oh yeah, they like Black Panther so much they almost made me hate Black Panther. You know
Wait,
when
what?
it's it gets so obnoxious that you know the comics, you're like, you know what? I'm even just like everybody's like, yeah, Wakanda forever. Everybody and you're like, dude, you've never ever opened a comic before in your life. And you're like, I'm Black Panther's biggest
You're,
fan and everything. So like, oh jeez.
you're gatekeeping.
So so so
it's
Dotun, let
funny.
me ask you this.
It's funny.
Dotun, let me ask you this. Before the movie came out, did you Dotun know about the Black Panther character at all?
We did definitely.
Yes, now.
We talked
Did
a
you
lot.
collect the comic book?
Did I what?
No, we don't collect any comic book.
I forgot where you guys are. Okay, so
Collect
did you read or how did you learn about Black Panther, Dotun?
YouTube, Pinterest, Google, basically. Yeah.
Some and
I,
it showed up in some cartoons.
and he showed up in some cartoons. Yes, and he had the accent. I'm like, who is this African guy? Okay, cool,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Go read up on this person. Go YouTube, Pinterest. I have a lot of Pinterest. I have a Pinterest board for
And
that.
I think that time there used to be like versus battles where some people will animate like
Yeah,
superheroes against each
uh,
other.
Richard Black Panther or Tony Stark, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We has Vibranium. He's rich.
It's funny. You guys should say how popular he is over there because I remember seeing this. I think it was an interview with Juniba in which
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
he kind of said, Black Panther is more of a westernized superhero than he is an authentic African superhero. And I was curious
Mm,
as to how you all felt about him being
well,
portrayed as an African superhero.
I understand what he's saying, but
Yeah.
it sounds strange. It sounds strange the way he puts it. This is what it means. The way you like Black Panther is the exact same way we like Black Panther. You would think it's different. We see Wakanda just as a foreign nation as you do, because definitely Wakanda is not an African country.
Right.
Some of their accent does not sound like our accents. So the way their accent sounds exotic to you is the way their accent sounds exotic to us too.
Nobody in that movie got the accent.
Yeah.
And no YouTube reviewer is bold enough to say it. And I understand. Because I think it's a question of boldness. I think it's a question of knowledge.
Mm.
So they
The,
own.
the only thing the only thing that was African that we enjoyed, I think, was the this thing, the clothing, the
Mm,
fashion.
Even the clothing, I can understand if someone would say it was westernized.
Especially Dora Milaje at some point.
Yeah,
But
like it's
but the
militaristic. West.
royalty, but the royalty and stuff like that, I think they got the clothes. They got the clothes. It's the
Don't get
closest.
we love it. We appreciate the attempt and the effort and everything. But what
But
we're
we like
saying is,
the same way like the Americans do.
yeah, we understand if someone can, if an African can say, "Oh no, it's not African," it's not pure African. We get that, but it's really cool. I really
Yeah.
enjoy it. I
Someone
like the
said here, so
We
their
love the
perspective
rise.
is similar to our perspective in that they are on the outside looking into Black Panther.
No, we're both looking from the outside.
the outside actually.
Well, it's a fantasy at the end of the day. It's
Yeah,
Yeah,
a,
yeah,
and
yeah.
from what I understand from the filmmakers, they basically drew from different influence from different parts of the continent to make an amalgam sort of
Yes, yes.
society.
So there are some moments you're like, oh yeah, this is like, for example, Queen Ramonda's headgear. You're like, oh yeah, that's South Africa. Um, when Black Panther, when T'Challa was talking to Shuri, and Shuri was like, "What are those?" The clothes he was wearing, you're like, "Oh yeah, that's Nigerian clothes." You get you see like you're like you see like, "Oh yeah, that's Kenyan." You get
yeah,
so you see that amalgamation, and it's fun and colorful.
yeah,
This guy that has rings in his lips, you get you're
yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, that's some East African influences." You get
Right.
so we love it. We love
Personally,
it extremely.
effort. It doesn't have
Well,
to be like
here's
smack dab in the middle, like perfect. If I see that, oh, they put a lot of thoughts and effort into this thing, like, okay, fine, I love it.
Yeah.
It's good. It's really good. I was going to say something earlier. Yeah, speaking of June 12th, belated happy birthday to you, sir. Yes.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Funny,
oh,
funny enough,
thank
this
you.
mirror 15,
But it's not my birthday yet at their time zone.
still in the 14th. You guys are in the past.
Well,
Oh,
my birthday is apparently on your Democracy Day, so that's kind of cool.
Yes. So
we should
that's
give
why
Uh,
the character was named after that day, because it fights for Nigeria's freedom.
who's that?
nice.
I
What
will I will say my parents intentionally had me born on that day because of that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I didn't get.
Here's a good this is a good question for you because Dotun, I'm a big fan of your artwork, and nothing would make me happier than to see you draw Black Panther, which is my favorite superhero.
Oh wow.
So the question is, have you considered making a Black Panther for Marvel?
Hmm.
We
We have a
we
pitch,
You have a
but
pitch.
we're not going to send it.
Don't don't
Um,
don't say it on live because someone will steal your pitch.
no, 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 we're not saying the pitch. It's we are we are black creators. It's a very odd thing. We're black creators,
Right.
and when you're starting out, this is a rule we give for ourselves. It doesn't mean that's a thing. We don't want to write too many black characters. Not because we hate black characters, but it's very easy for you to get pigeonholed and you will never
Yes.
get to write any other character.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
You know
So
who
we
was
just
one of the first people to point that out
so
was one
we
of Black
hesitated to
Panther's.
take yeah, sorry, we hesitated to take any black character when we started. Moon Knight, Iron Man. We would put black characters in those books, but the style would not be that. So when we're like, we've established that, see, we can draw Spider-Man well, we can draw a good Moon Knight, we can tell a good Iron Man story. Yeah, so if we take on Storm now, it's not like, oh, the black character, the black creators take on Storm. It is this creators take on Storm. So you get that's so we're trying to balance it so we don't quickly get pigeonholed, even though
Typecast.
yeah, so even though we have the pitch, even though we love those characters, we try to be careful.
Yeah.
We love Black Panther. We have it. We actually have a pitch, and we did something on Wakanda in the anthology with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shuri is my favorite Wakandan
Wait,
character.
wait, wait. Which anthology?
Um, Wakanda
Marvel
Forever.
Wakanda,
voices
the Wakanda
Wakanda
one.
Forever. Juniba was there too.
Jimba was there. Fantastic, fantastic.
Wait, which one?
Marvel's voices Wakanda Forever.
I think I have that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
so
I do.
Juniba
I have.
told a futuristic Black Panther story. We told a Shuri story. Shuri is my favorite Wakandan.
Why? Really? Why?
The science.
Um,
The science. The
like
science guy.
now, yeah, in the past, like before she became like real sciencey, she was much more ruthless than Black Panther. So she has more edge. And in recent time too, she's more science oriented, and I love inventor characters.
Got you.
So I
So
think
that's probably why you.
in our story we combined that. We combined our ruthless past with a science based future. So I think in our story she was the Black Panther.
Yeah. The baby's a
We
badass.
actually talk about
Yeah,
that every week about how we
very
preferred Shuri when she was more ruthless.
yeah, so we combined it. So ruthlessness and tech. So imagine someone more ruthless than Tony Stark
That
and has access to vibranium that Tony Stark doesn't. Imagine how OP that person is.
Right. So that's a good segue into the Iron Man story that you guys wrote. How did that come about with Marvel?
Well, actually, before that, they did the Moon Knight story.
Yeah,
yeah.
we we got greedy. Um, we
Mhm.
were telling a story called "My Grandfather Was a God," and we sent it out to Gendy Tarkovsky, anybody who could get our hands on. You know, there are these websites where you can get people's emails, but you pay for them. We got some of those, and there was this editor called Alana Smith, and I'm not sure. I think I guessed that email or something. So I got Alana Smith. So we always sending stuff to her. She liked Newman, but we were put on file. No project yet. So there was a time I sent her an email and I got an auto reply that she wasn't around. She wasn't on seat. And if you can't reach out to me, reach out to Tom Brevoort. And Tom Brevoort's email was there. I was like, shit, I just got Tom Brevoort's email. Just got Tom Brevoort's email. So um I kept that. So when we had my grandfather was the god and it was really good. We liked it. So we sent it to Tom Brevoort and Tom
Hmm.
Brevoort replied, I think not long after, not like
We
immediately, but
we sent it just for him to read.
read. You know,
We're not looking.
sometimes you are a fan of people's work
Yeah.
and you want them to read your stuff and
Yeah.
enjoy it too.
Give the
That's why we
comments.
sent, yeah, that's why we sent to Tatakovsky and all those stuff. It's not because so that they can hire us for a job. We're like, we enjoyed your stuff, enjoy our stuff too, that kind of thing. I think so. And then it was like he loved it. That boy wants us to sign a couple of things before it says anything. So we signed some contracts and stuff like that, and then he told us about this Moon Knight project. And there's a long story with the Moon Knight project. We'll get that to another day. And after we were done with the Moon Knight project, I got greedy. I was like, okay, I've been sitting on this Iron Man page for a while. The original title was supposed to be The Untold Tales of Iron Man. So I put a pitch together. We sent it to him. I think he didn't reply for like a while. Then later he said we should give him time. I think I'm not sure if it took some months or something, and then he came back and it's like, Iron Man is going to be 60 next year. We can make this series. This series can celebrate that. And but before we release that, let's test you out. Write a 10-page Iron Man story. It's going to be in Iron Man 25. I think legacy number 600 or something like that. Let's see the short story. And then we put together a story called Daddy's Boys. Daddy's Boy. Yeah, Daddy's Boys. Because Tony Stark's relationship with his father is oddly similar to Thor's relationship with Odin. Yet, so, and we kind of told a story centering around how they view their fathers,
Hmm.
and they loved it. So immediately they greenlit more projects. One of we originally had 6 stories or so planned, but one of the stories became Kaiju War. It's on Marvel Unlimited, um, centering around the Iron Man characters. That the Iron Man characters. That's Tony Stark, Ray Williams, and why am I forgetting his name?
Rhodey,
Rhodey,
Brody.
James Rhodes.
Yeah.
I wanted a story that centered around the 3 people that have taken the mantle of Iron Man. So, but they needed the story for the Avengers, so we used that story there. So we call them the Iron Trinity of the Mighty Avengers, just Iron Trinity. So, and people really loved that story. Iron Man fans adored it. So from reading that, they're like, oh, these guys can do Iron Man. So they really pushed I Am Iron Man when it came out, and so that's how the project got made. And yeah,
Gotcha.
Where can
So
we find where
Dotun,
can we find those stories?
on Marvel Unlimited.
Oh, Marvel
It's,
Unlimited. Okay.
yeah, so it's Avengers Unlimited issue 9 to issue 13, Kaiju War. It's basically Iron Man going to a planet. There's a planet has been decimated, and there are 3 kaijus left, and the population on that planet is about to be depleted. They're all about to die off. It was an act of war by another nation. There's a whole story there. So the Iron Trinity go there, take down the last 3 kaijus, and that's the story basically.
so Dotun, were you ever a fan, Dotun, of Iron Man, or you just going along with whatever comics that come up that you may be interested in? Were you an actual fan of Iron Man, Tony Stark?
Yeah. So when Tom asked us to send our list of characters that we loved, Murewa and I had very similar, you know, items
Yeah,
on our
I
Iron
think
Man
Iron Man was number one.
number one.
Iron Man was
Um,
number one.
Iron Man was my number one. I usually put those two as number one often, and then we had a lot of
We had
female
Shuri, we had Storm,
characters.
we had Sif,
We had
Sif, and
C, female
we had
characters with
Magic. We had Magic.
we had magic,
So
Rasputin.
so Dotun, did you ever watch the 1990s Iron Man cartoon at all?
I did. I did. Yes. Did your mom never tell you to not play with magnets? That was magic. Talking to Iron Man. I remember that scene. And I always played with magnets. And I was like, oh, he's talking to me? Fun. Yeah.
So we deeply love Iron Man. Yeah.
How did you both discover Iron Man?
And that's what led to you guys.
I think it's from the show you talked about just now, the 90s Iron Man.
Yeah, gotcha.
Mine was later. It was probably the first movie, and it looked familiar, so I might have seen it before, but I'm not sure. But what connected me to Iron Man straight away was his art condition. Um, I I was born with I think it's something of Fallot is a big scientific name, but basically it's a hole in the heart. So I was born with that deformity, a hole in the heart, and I was basically dying. And
Oh, wow.
at that time, my parents were not that comfortable as they were. So they had to reach out to a bunch of the government, a bunch of people trying to gather money so I could do the surgery. Because the surgery was so difficult, I think there was no Nigerian specialist. We could either have to go to Ghana or Israel. So stuff like that, we couldn't afford it. So I was always falling sick. I got tired easily, and palpitating and stuff like that. Even after the surgery, I can't I can't. I have shortness of breath because of my heart and stuff like that. So I was like, this is me. Yeah, and I'm into tech stuff. I think in secondary school, I have like a bunch of inventions and how I would try to accomplish them, robots and different things, build stuff out of cartons and batteries and stuff like that. So I was like, this is basically a story about me. It was also a silly goofball, and I was always a clown in class at that time and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, I agree with Austin C. This Iron Man cover that you did, Dotun, is absolutely fantastic.
Hey, thank you, Austin. Austin C. Thank you.
Absolutely fantastic. I saw this cover in my pre-orders, and I was like, because I've always been an Iron Man fan. I've been an Iron Man fan. It's like actually one of the first superheroes I collected as a child. Um, the run that really got me as a big fan was the one that was actually done by the an artist that just recently passed, Mark D. Bright, um, who did that Armor War series.
Hmm.
Tremendous fan of his work, and he really got me interested into Iron Man. Um, but yeah, I mean, I love this series that you guys did, and I was curious as to how you went from doing this Moon Knight book for you, where you did this short, story, into getting your own 4-issue series. I didn't know that there was a Marvel Unlimited work that you had done in between, which I guess garnered Marvel to have faith in you guys to get your own limited series, which is absolutely fantastic.
Uh,
Can you tell us about this series?
Sorry, we kind of already got the job before the Marvel Unlimited series.
Huh.
It was the Moon Knight story. The thing is, when the Moon Knight story came out, we were our issue was the same issue with Mark Guggenheim and Jonathan Hickman, basically the biggest creator right now. And when the reviews came in, our story was the best reviewed of all the stories. So they were like, okay, I think these people are not complete idiots. They know how to tell a good comic book story. And Dotu's art in that project was phenomenal. So I think the test was mostly I Am Ironman 25, Iron Man 25 by Cantwell, but Tom Brevoort was already, I think, talking with CB Sobolski to try to get it greenlit already. So it was this. I'm not sure what Tom Brevoort saw, but it was one that pulled the entire string,
Yeah,
even though we hadn't fully proven ourselves yet.
yeah.
But the Moon
That
Knight series went viral. The Moon Knight story went viral. There's still some like clips from there about Spider-Man was where Spider-Man Moon Knight were having this exchange, and yeah, Moon Knight and Spider-Man was like Egyptian stuff, huh? And Moon Knight was like "fuck you," that kind of thing. So
That's pretty much exactly how the scene went down. That's why I put it in this clip.
so it was really nice. So kudos to Tom Brevoort too.
yeah, yeah.
How is Tom Brevoort? Is he a good guy? Because he always seems to take chances,
I
creativity. I like him.
I don't think he gets enough praise.
Yeah.
Tom, Tom, I think Tom is he has a name. I think they call him Taciturn Tom.
Yeah.
You know,
In,
he doesn't say
in Untold Tales of Spider-Man, you see
yeah.
they call him Taciturn Tom in the credits
So
page.
when we saw the credits page, we're like, exactly. No wonder. That's why he doesn't talk much. He doesn't give you too much praise. He can just be
They don't
looks
criticize you too much too. So
yeah,
I think I've been seeing a lot of people interpret that as maybe pride or something, but it's
Yeah.
just
Efficiency of words. Like,
efficiency of words and emotions.
yes.
So, like some people say, a lot of people say, "Oh, your work was very good," but
Yeah.
just delete everything before the but.
Yeah.
But if some people said your work is very good, it's almost that means it deserves like an eyes now or something.
Right. Right.
If it says good,
Yeah.
it's actually really good, it's like 8/10, that
Like,
kind of thing. And if it says mm, green lit, that's like maybe like 5. Like you just say,
yeah.
yeah, like it's very efficient with his words. And I think the one time Doctor has gotten 3 excellence from him, 3. And the first time we got that excellence, we're like, yes, yeah. And
That's
it was that Avengers Unlimited. Doctor did like this long artwork of like sci-fi skyscrapers from an alien world, and it feels like something from a Blade Runner movie, perfectly rendered. You might not even know you might think it's a picture or 3D or something. It was very good, and it says this page is excellent. You're like, yes.
yeah. We joked about that, and we're like, I don't think he's the one that replied this email. I don't think he replied this
So
email.
when we now heard other people saying the same thing, I don't even think Chip Zadarsky, Zadarsky has gotten very good. I don't think Chip Zadarsky has gotten excellent yet.
So one other thing we say is that to the uninitiated, you would interpret that as being cold or whatever. Yeah.
But
You line
it's just
uninitiated Bane in Batman,
yeah,
by the way.
it's just efficiency.
Yeah.
And if you go back to people's careers, a lot of big stars, if you check out the first work they did before they became big stars, you usually see them in the credits page.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people haven't noticed.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah, but
early
yeah,
Ben, early Mark Miller work, you see his name there. Early Jonathan Hickman work, you see his name there.
Yeah.
that's why I say I think the guy is. I agree with you. I think he's very underrated. I don't think people really give him his due as to the
Yeah.
work
Bring
he's doing over there.
the I Am Ironman run. Like Murewa said, Tom basically did all of that. When he basically said,
And it wasn't the Iron Man editor at that time.
yes, he
It had
basically,
moved to another editor.
I would do anything to make this happen. Basically, if we were going to reinterpret how he said it. And we're like, dude, this guy doesn't know us. He doesn't know us. And why is he doing this? He has tested us, yes, he might have liked what we've done. But why are you saying you're going to see with, CB Saboski or whoever and make sure that this happens? We're so confused. Like, what's going on? So when you said, yeah, it
Even,
takes things, we're like, wow.
yeah,
Truly,
even writers that haven't worked for Marvel. I've talked about Tom Brevoort. I
yeah,
think Scott Snyder talked about when the pressures of Batman was getting to him, and it was basically burning all bridges, maybe from pride and throwing tantrums and all those stuff. I think he said he and Tom Brevoort shop at the same comic shop, and Tom Brevoort called him and just say, "Yeah, let me talk to you. See, this industry is a small industry. Basically, behave yourself, that kind of thing." Talked him down, and
mm,
he was able to like reassess and have the lengthy career that he has. So even like people from another company talk about how Tom Brevoort like helped guide their career and stuff. So he's underrated in that.
Mike Alley-Oop asks, "How do you guys feel about the direction they've been taking Iron Man lately? Like the Superior Iron Man stuff?"
Superior Emma was cool. Superior Emma was very nice. I liked it.
All right, so you just completed this stuff, and that was the run that really put you guys on my radar was the I Am Iron Man stuff. Fantastic series. It was whose idea was it to do an anthology series, basically going over the whole 60 years of Iron Man? Was that Tom's idea or yours?
I think it was ours.
Well done, well done.
I think that was part of our pitch. We wanted to like we love Iron. Okay,
those, yeah, we,
there's something
we
about superhero.
things about, yeah, go on,
Yeah,
go on, go on.
there's some things about superheroes that editorial doesn't particularly like, and we like them. And little by little, we have been having a little more power to do that. And that Spider-Man doesn't have to have one costume. There are some really dope costumes he used in the past. His size hasn't changed. He doesn't have to stop wearing them.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I liked Warren Ellis's Moon Knight. Yeah, you have the Moon Knight costume, you have the Mr. Moon Knight, you have the bone armor that we call the Ghost Reaper armor. Let's see these guys work like espionage guys. If I'm going for if I'm going underwater for a mission, let me wear these clothes that I wore in this issue that is very good for underwater stuff. Let's bring back some of the better costumes and rotate them in a run. It's something we've been doing. I've been kind of pushing for Storm too. That yeah, I like the new design, but what about this mission that happens at night where she actually wants to be seen? Why can't she wear a silver costume in the 90s to this mission? Yeah. I just finished writing a script where she wears like this badass armor and stuff, and I like, yeah,
Oh,
it's going to
we're gonna get into the storm stuff. Trust, because you got a lot of
so
fans and a lot of
so
questions about that.
so yeah, so in Spider-Man, all the stuff we want. So one of the things we wanted for Iron Man, because they might not allow you to do for a lot of characters. Like this is new costume, this is new costume. But for Iron Man, you kind of have leeway, especially if you tell stories in the past, because he always changes costumes and stuff like that. So like, okay, let's write a story that will also feature his armors, some of the best armors he has used in the past, and stuff like that. So going back in time and everything was our idea, but we plan to start in the recent issue, his recent armor, and then go back with each issue. But we saw that some readers might not like that, so we decided to start with the old ones and then work our way to the present.
Well, you got a fan here who says, "Love the Akogun series."
Thank
which
you.
we will talk which we will talk about in a moment.
Thank you, James.
So let's talk about it right now. This series in our Black Comic Lord space has been hitting like wildfire. From the moment this book dropped, people have been going crazy over it. Um, how, how did you guys bring the book into fruition? What was the process? What was the motivation behind it?
Um, we finished I Am Iron Man, and for a weird reason, we couldn't get any jobs. We couldn't get anything. I'm like, dude, we're Marvel published
Really?
creators. Yeah, we're like we're Marvel published creators. It didn't get cancelled in like issue 3 or issue 2 or something. We finished the miniseries, and there was no job. But little did we know that I think around that time, Marvel was doing a reshuffling of the editorial, Tom moving to the X office and stuff like that. So you don't want to like bring on
Mm-hmm.
new projects when you know you wanted to be around. So we started sending emails every publishing firm, like every publishing company, Image Comics, all this stuff. Like you've rejected us in the past before, but now that we have I am Iron Man under our belt, maybe you'd say yes. And we kind of struggled. We didn't get any job for like 6 months.
And there was
And
also like
he said, yeah, and
there
there
was
was also yeah, the Hollywood writer strike. So jumping to Hollywood was also almost impossible because there was nothing. And some of the publishers were trying to get Hollywood writers to work on projects rather than comic book creators at the moment. So it was really tough. So I wanted to go back to the comic was called My Grandfather Was a God, the webtoon. And that's what we're planning to just go back to. Then um, the president of Oni Press did a reshuffling. And the new president said he read I Am Iron Man and he had also worked with Tom Brevoort before and he would like to work with us on a project. Do we have any ideas? And we were like, okay, we have a bunch of fantasy stuff we've been working on. There's one called Godman Axe, which we're still planning to like bring later. My grandfather was a god and stuff like that. Like, okay, we love telling stories the thing about the comic book industry right now is because is at the time there are no pure genre stories. It's always amalgamations, you get. And I think Saga started that. Even though I like Saga, is let's make sci-fi and fantasy, let's make cyberpunk and this. You can't really say any particular comic was like this specific genre. And we love some pure genre stories. Like we want to tell a pure fantasy story, so that's what's wanted. And Oni, luckily, also wanted the same thing. Wanted a purely fantasy story. They wanted something steeped deep in our African heritage, like wanted to tell with something like my grandfather was a god. And but they wanted one extra thing. They wanted it to be sword and sorcery variation of fantasy, like a Conan stuff. And we're like, say no more. We know the guys are going to bring on board. We want to bring Ogun, the god of war. That was the first character we knew wanted to bring over. And there's some characters we wanted to bring over. We are not going to say them, And Obatala is one of the most popular Orishas. But for some reason, because his power set is not combative, he's a creator god. So telling stories with creator gods can be a little difficult if it's action packed. We're like, you know what, we're going to take that challenge. Let's see if we can use Obatala. We knew we're going to use Shango, like the most popular Orisha. So we knew that story. So it was now time to craft Akogun, basically. And Dotun and I were just exchanging ideas. What should it be? And something we noticed about African stories, especially Yoruba stories, is in our own fantasy and adventure stories, like folklore and stuff like that. In Western cultures, it's about the knights, like the barbarian, all those kind of things, swordsman, a warrior. But in Africa, especially in Nigeria and Yoruba, it's usually a hunter story. Warriors don't move around that much. Warriors stay on ground until it's time for war. But hunters are the people that explore the hidden places in the dark forest. And in Yoruba, it's usually in the forest region. We're not in the savannah where people can see you. So they go into dark forest, they hear a lot of dark creatures. The people that come back with stories of valor were
Yeah.
not warriors, it was the
Uh-huh.
hunter. I faced a creature that was as big as a building and I struck it down. Maybe that's an elephant. It's a hunter that will give you that story, not a warrior. So we're like, we're going to bring that into this story. This is going to be the story of a hunter, not a warrior. And you're going to see how different it is when you see a warrior explore dark things. When a character explore dark things, and that's basically what birthed this idea. And a little combination with also the creation myths in the Yoruba mythology. The fact that the world was created by a drunk god. Like, okay, let's play around with that. And there are two popular ones, two popular creation myths. The world was created by Obatala, the drunk god, and the world was discovered by
Yeah.
Ogun. And we're like, every culture usually has a reason for something, especially their creation myths. Why would the Yoruba people think the first person to discover our world is the god of war? And like, okay, there's something interesting there. So we decided to fuse those stories. What if the war god came for someone? And that's where the story began. So it's playing with mythology and analyzing it deeply and tell a unique story while borrowing a lot from all those myths and monsters. And yeah, so this is Yoruba storytelling.
The
So let
That's
me
original,
ask.
that's kind of where I was going with it. But
yeah, the original
go
title we
ahead,
had
Mark.
was "We're all created by a drunk god."
No, our creator was a drunk god.
Listen,
So was a
I
drunk god.
can I can relate. Trust me when I tell you, I can relate. So let me ask you this: in the Orisha pantheon, can you guys explain, Dotun, who the Orisha pantheon encompasses?
Who what?
Who
The
are the
the
original
pantheon. Who are the Orisha pantheon?
gods? Like,
Who are the original?
The pantheon of
Yeah.
gods.
yeah, who are the Orishas, basically?
Basically, yes.
The Shango, that's the Shang- Shango is like the god of thunder and
Fire.
fire.
So he's basically like Thor.
Yeah, they compare him with Thor.
They compare with Thor.
Well,
Yep.
Some Nigerians actually think they don't know that Thor is an actual mythological character. I think it's a Marvel character, and they think Marvel stole the idea of Thor from Shango
So
because
who are
of
the
just
other?
yeah.
So who are the other members of the pantheon?
have Oya.
Shango
Um,
is worshipped by warriors,
yeah.
and then
What's
there's
that name?
Ogo,
What's that name again? Say that name again.
Oya.
Shango. Okay, okay.
No, Oya.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wanted to say Shango is worshipped by no, they have their gods of things, but there are some people that worship them. Shango is worshipped majorly by warriors.
So who would be the Odin or Zeus equivalent in this pantheon?
Olorun.
That would be Olorun.
Aloron.
Yeah.
And
What are his or hers powers?
Orumila.
Mm, it depends. The thing is, if you talk about Orunmila, there's Orunmila and there's Olorun.
Yeah.
Orunmila is the son of Olorun. Orunmila can have that role of Odin as per the the very wise man that every other god comes to for counsel. But Olorun, the only equivalent to Olorun is in the Islamic and Judeo-Christian mythology of God. Olorun is so far above the other Orishas. The Orishas basically worship him as another Orisha.
Is the god of gods.
Is the God of gods.
Gotcha.
You
He's the one on
we,
high.
yeah, we can't approach him. We can't even pray to him. You pray to the Orishas to pray to Olorun.
So
That's
did
the
it? So in that mythology, did Alorum create the other Orishas?
yes.
Are
So
there any?
so it's not
Are
about
there any
what powers
stories
does he
out?
have. We don't even know him.
Yeah. The reason why I'm mentioning Orumila is that I don't want us to miss out on that hierarchy.
Yes.
Dotun, explain that hierarchy. How does it work?
So, like Murewa is saying, Olorun is the god of gods. We don't know him. We can't approach him. He's way beyond our
We
realm.
don't even know what it looks like.
What it looks like, he, we just have knowledge of God of gods, you know. And then there's Orumila,
His
who
son.
is his son. And
Almost like
after,
Jesus Christ.
yes, I'm trying not to say those names.
No,
You know
go
Yeah.
what?
ahead. Understand that most of our audience are American based, right? So use phrases and terms that we would understand.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. So there's Orumila after Olorun, and then there are the Orishas. But we took some creative liberty here, whereby we have placed Obatala a little bit higher than other Orishas.
In some mythology,
In some,
in some, I think he's below Orunmila, but pretty close to.
yeah,
Like
but
in some mythology, before he came to create the earth, he
yeah,
consulted Orunmila first.
yeah.
Orunmila, tell me what to do. Because he's also the god of divination and prophecy, he can see into the future and know the right steps to take.
Obatala.
Orunmila.
Oh, no. Okay.
Okay, so the image that's on screen that Paul just put up, who is that? Yeah, who is this god? Who is this?
But
Obatala,
Obatala.
The
So
drunken god.
the
so where
drunken
in the
god of
hierarchy, right? So where in the hierarchy does he fit?
slightly below Orunmila.
Slightly below. So what would be a Greco-Roman equivalent to this god, or
What's
an
that?
Egyptian equivalent?
Oh,
Greek equivalent. Yes.
And while you're thinking about that, here's the reason why I asked that question.
That is probably
A lo-
Zeus,
It would.
so
but
this is
oh,
Zeus right here. This guy is Zeus,
yeah, but it's strange in finding equivalence because the thing about gods in culture is that it's also what the culture values.
right?
In cultures that value power,
Right?
you see storm gods climbing the roof. So in
Yeah.
Greek respect power. So you
Right?
see, like their storm god is the supreme god.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Vikings also value power.
Yes.
Thor is high up there, like second to Odin. Odin too is a warrior. Now, but in Yoruba mythology, wisdom,
So yeah.
other cultures that are close to us sometimes say that Yoruba people are sneaky, they are indirect. In the Yoruba culture, we believe wisdom is the highest.
Got
So
you.
even though the god might not be powerful, Orunmila is the highest because he's wise.
So you guys, so in that mythology, they respect mental intellect versus physical powerful
Yeah.
strength.
Same in
Yes.
So
the Yoruba
got
where
you.
the
This
wisdom
this
So
is
it,
god this
better
god
than
Obatala remind me the most of Bacchus
but you
when Mark
said
was
Loki
asking.
early. But you said Loki earlier, though, right?
We played around with the Loki thing because of his wisdom. I wanted somebody to be able to oppose Orunmila. But in the actual mythology, he's not fully a trickster god. He's more of an inquisitive person. For example, when he created man out of clay and everything, but he could not give them life because he's not that powerful. So he asked Olorun to please give the clay figures life, and then they came alive. And he created more humans, but this time he snuck in the bush. He wanted to see how Olorun does it. How does Olorun give life so that he can be able to do it too? But Olorun
Got
was just too freaking powerful and he knows everything. Just with the snap of his fingers, he went unconscious, and Olorun did what he wanted to do and left. So it's that kind of thing. We now kind of blew it up for this story. You get like making a more trickster kind of thing, but he's just more of a smart guy.
So is Anansi part of this pantheon or part of the Orisha here?
No.
No,
No. So Anansi is not part of this.
no,
So
that's
for the world itself, we take from different places.
Right.
Like the way the savannah people dress is closer to the way the Himba people of Namibians dress. Yeah, the forest people are closer to Yoruba. The desert people are closer to Mali, Sudan, and some of these other places. But we didn't want the pantheon to get confusing. We don't want to
Got
have
you.
two storm gods, two metal gods. So we stuck only to the Orisha pantheon because they are the second most popular pantheon in Africa, second to maybe Egypt. But then again, you could even say it's more popular than Egyptian myth because there are a lot of people that still worship these gods, and they are numerous. Just because there are no movies about it doesn't mean people that know them are less. So we
Right.
wanted to just use a popular pantheon that we also that we know closely, and we also didn't want people saying, "Oh yeah, yeah." Especially when we want to make some twists and turns, we don't want people saying that, "Oh, the pantheon of our culture, you twisted it and stuff like that." But if it's our own pantheon, I can as well twist and stuff, and nobody would complain.
I really hope you guys can do a spin-off series where you just do a story about the pantheon of gods, because the stories that you were just talking to me about the how the man was created, where uh, Obatala created the Kree and he goes to Oloron and says, "Can you give them life?" That's fascinating. I've never heard that,
Mm.
and I suspect that there's a lot of people might feel the same way. It'd be cool to see that in a comic book form to like tell the storytelling of this, the history of the or the stories behind the pantheon of gods. um, that you were just
Yeah.
talking about.
That's why we're hoping issue one sells quite a number of copies so that Oni will be able to greenlight a second series because we're planning to release one called Akogun Revenge of the Gods, which will
Yeah.
continue the story of Brutalizer of Gods. So, not to spoil anything, Akogun is going to brutalize gods. Basically, this is
It's right there in
so
the title.
yeah. So, how will the gods respond, especially Orunmila? How will he respond? There's been a lot of write-ups, like poetry, at the end of each story. We're not going to tell you what they mean, but by the time you get to issue three, you're going to know what they all mean. So I would advise people to read those things again by issue three, those little
So
poems at the end.
so let me
Go
ask you
ahead.
this. Okay. So you guys have created this pantheon, you've created this mythology. Do you guys have, like, between the two of you, some type of encyclopedia that includes all the members of the pantheon that you may or may not use and what their power set is?
Some are written down, some are in our heads. We know the
Yeah.
gods we want to use. Um, I've forgotten his name because people remember his nickname more than his actual name. But his nickname is Dada.
Dada?
Dada, yeah. But
Mhm.
I think it's Bayani. I think his real name is Bayani. He's also the name of a musician that also has dreadlocks. Dada just means dreadlocks.
Okay.
I would almost say it would be cool
Sorry,
to
and he's
have.
the elder brother of Shango. Shango is like the most powerful god that is not alone when it comes to physical strength and power.
Yeah.
But he has an older brother that he respects that is not capable of fighting. And they have this dynamic I really want to play with. Because there's a saying, they say in Yoruba, they say, they say, Bayani does not know how to fight, but he has a brother that knows how to fight. Basically telling you that to be careful to treat weak people poorly because sometimes they know someone stronger than you are.
Don't pick on that dude because he's got a bigger, stronger brother,
Yeah,
older brother. Got you.
younger in this sense
Younger.
is older than Shango. So he has
It'd be cool if
dreads.
you had like a page in your books that where you had like a character breakdown. Just
Yeah,
here's a picture of
we're
this
scared it to be
character. This
spoilers.
Yes,
That's the thing.
exactly. And so we kind of we
only
plan
only the ones that
like that,
only the
but
ones that you've introduced, not ones that are going to come out.
yeah, even that we plan for things like that. But we had this long conversation about the whole immersive thing that we talked about with
Mhm.
school records. That there might be some kids out there who will pick up these things and want to stay immersed in the world and not flip to a page and realize that, oh, these are just comic
Yeah.
book characters.
So let me
It-
just say this. So as an example, Dotun, I, as a kid, I used to read the encyclopedia. I know this is way before your time, but there used to be books that would come out like once a year that had all the information up to that point, right? And I was huge into Greek Roman mythology, and a lot of
Yeah.
people, especially Western folks, know about Greek and Roman mythology. I freely admit that I don't know a lot about African, and Africa is a continent with different cultures, different countries, with different pantheons. I freely admit that I don't know enough about the different pantheons that are worshipped in Africa. So, as an American, it would be nice for me, because especially as somebody who's a comic book fan, it would be nice for me to be able to have something that describes who these characters are, who these individuals are, what their power set is, and what their connections are to other characters in their own pantheon. And as an example, I mean, before I became a Black Panther fan, I was a huge Thor fan. Thor is, for those who don't know, is a Nordic god. He was worshipped in real life by Vikings in Denmark, Sweden, things of that nature. He's a comic book character now, but he was actually worshipped. these characters that you're talking about were actually worshipped by individuals in African countries.
Are still
So
being watched.
it are still being worshipped. So, as an American who has absolutely no knowledge of these characters, it would be nice to have some type of encyclopedia or something that I could refer to as to who these characters are, what their relationships are to other members of their pantheon, and what their powers are. So I'm just throwing that out there because, especially us in the Western culture, we are segregated from where we came from and the information that you guys have. So I just want to throw that out there to say, hey, as a comic book fan, as somebody who appreciates knowledge, it would be nice to have that so we can understand what these people are, who they are, and where they came from. Because you guys are throwing out names that I've never even heard of before, you know?
We have that. We're building that actually. We've been building that with the project. What you
So would
just
that so would that be an individual fan that you guys are actually going to release? Because I
yes,
will buy it.
we just don't want to
Yeah.
attach it to the stories.
To this story. Yeah, it depends on only press if this book sells well and they greenlight some things, because like Dotun said, it might sound a little selfish, like what we are doing, but it's something that we want to test out as creators. In I Am Ironman, we noticed something. Now we can't judge by internet people because internet is different from the real world. But
Yeah.
we but we noticed a lot of reactions when it came to I Am Iron Man. Because we are new creators and stuff like that, people already read our books assuming it's going to be trash. Especially when they see weird names, they're like, "Oh, diversity hires are here," and
The
and a lot
DEI
of,
crew.
yeah. So and a lot of people when they read I Am Iron Man, they're like trash. Then they read the letters page, and in the letters page, I kind of do a little explaining of what you just read, especially through the lens of my own personal experiences. And then they're like, oh, these guys are not completely useless. So they go back again and then they read and like, oh, this thing is actually good. We saw that through the reviews of the book and everything. And we kind of wanted to do something a little selfish with this project. We're like, we are not going to do that. We're not going to. You can as well assume we did. Assume your worst thing. Assume we didn't do the research. Assume these gods are nothing. Assume we are bad creators. Assume everything. Just read the book and let's see how people will react to it. So we wanted to say that, and it's a little selfish. It's made us even aware of some creators that we think maybe they are racist, because anytime it's a black creator, they don't even try to read it twice. They don't even try to do anything. But if it's another creator, like, oh, I read this book 3 times, that's when you get like, then why did you read this one halfway and stop and something? So we don't want to hold people's hands. We're like, read, read it again, try to understand it, and fall in love with those characters without us making you fall in love with characters through our explanation. Know Ogun through this story. And yeah, so and also we're also writing for people that are familiar with it too, so that they also see the twists and turns. For example, Dotun mentioned Oya, but there's also Oshun, and Oshun is Shango's wife in mythology. But
Say that again. Wait, hold on. Say that again. Say it again.
Oshun
Okay.
Oshun is Shango's wife in mythology.
Okay.
In this story, especially in issue 2, you see Ogun having sex with Oshun.
Yes, we did. Pull that picture up, Paul. Hold on. Oh, yes. He wasn't having sex. He was hitting that stuff. That's not just sex. He was hitting it. He was, yo, Dante, listen, that's not sex, right? He's hitting it deep,
Lord.
long, strong.
so,
Even my changed auntie.
so, so it's shocking even for people that are
Yeah,
familiar with the mythology. Like,
yeah.
what the fuck is going on right now? Yeah. So,
Yes, yes.
and the reason is because in a lesser known myth, Oshun was first married to Ogun. Now, this is going to be a little spoiler, but to hell with it.
Okay, hold on.
Ifun
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Let me
Well,
just interject something. So, who are the characters that we're seeing on the page
yes.
right now? Who's the
this is
guy?
Who are
Who's the girl?
Ocean and Osun?
Yeah, who's
this
Yes.
is
the guy? Who's the girl?
the guy is Ogun,
Ogun. Okay.
Yeah.
the god of war and metal.
Okay.
That is Oshun.
Okay.
She's a river goddess.
Reaver.
River
River.
goddess.
River
River.
goddess.
Okay. Okay.
And they are usually fertility goddess. So she's a fertility goddess that expresses herself through water.
Okay.
So, and in most mythology, fertility goddess actually looks sexy. And
Okay.
for African myths, she's going to be curvy, more curvy than in Western myths and all those stuff.
Okay.
So, and fertility goddesses also have healing properties and stuff like that. It doesn't just work in human, like plants, everything, animals and stuff. So she's a fertility goddess basically. And she's married in myth in the most popular mythology. She's married to Shango, the storm
Wait.
god.
Hold on. So that's not her husband in the normal mythology.
Yes, that's not her husband.
But you guys changed it up. She's not cheating. You just changed it up.
We changed it up because
Okay.
of a lesser known mythology where Ogun, the god of war,
Okay.
married Oshun,
Okay.
but they had not had sex yet. They hadn't consummated the marriage yet.
Okay.
Shango, being the powerful god and
For
being
those who are
slick,
listening, the Thor guy. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and being slick as hell, all romantic with sweet mouth and everything, seduces Oshun, has sex with her, marries her.
Okay.
So
And
Mr. Steal Your Girl is what you're telling me.
Yes.
yeah, and Shango does it again to another wife of Ogun, but we won't get into that one.
Well,
Oh yeah,
hold on. So wait. So Shogun stole two of his women.
Yes.
yes.
So they got beef for real.
Yes.
So there was now an all-out war between
I would imagine
Ogun.
so.
So that we kind of get that
So
here.
those are the twists and turns we are playing
We
with.
took so we now have that here. And if you notice, when they were after Shango, spoiler alert, after Shango won the fight, it tells him that I will fuck your wife. So we're kind of, so for people that know the mythology, they know we're foreshadowing something. He is going to steal his wife too in this, so he's going to steal it, and it will make
Not
her.
only is he listen, not only I'm gonna whoop your ass, but I'm gonna fuck your wife. That's some disrespectful shit, dude.
Yeah, straight up. People love Shango here. People love Shango here, but we, Dotun and I, we think that guy is a villain god. He's a
No,
villain god.
no,
Yeah,
he's the man. Don't listen, don't disrespect Shango like that. He's the man.
like, and it's so scary. They talk about how he gets angry and everything. They say inoloju inolenu, which basically means fire comes out from his eyes and his mouth, that kind of thing. So he's like angry Superman or something. He's crazy. He's crazy powerful, and at the same time that he can be charismatic, not gentle, charismatic and everything. He's capable of seduction. He's also capable of whooping your ass, basically. So
Clearly,
so that's
clearly.
why he's the most popular Orisha because of that. He's
So
just
so let me ask you this: for those people who are interested in reading this comic book, why are these two characters fighting? What is the history of them meeting and fighting in this book in issue number 2? Why is this happening?
yeah. Now I said why the fight happened in mythology, but in this story, okay, let me first say the mythology. Like I said, Ogun is usually said as the god of war, and he's actually the god of metal, but he's also worshipped as the god of war because to wage war you need metal.
Yeah.
Bus drivers, different people that have to do it, even blacksmiths. Blacksmiths worship him too because metal. But warriors, oddly enough, also worship Shango equally, if not more. Because when you go to war, you don't just need your cutlass and all those stuff. You need power to be able to summon lightning to kill
Yeah,
your enemies. That's
yeah.
how the stories were told. That's juju. You get voodoo. You get summon lightning. That's your catapult. That's your stuff. Let's cause havoc. You get let's rage a storm. Let's control fire and stuff like that. So Shango is also worshipped as the war god. So I'm not taking that struggle, that mythology thing of there are two gods that are predominantly worshipped as gods of war. Even though Shango does not have the title of god of war, he's worshipped more by warriors. So I'm not bringing that metaphorical conflict. I'm bringing it to this story. Who owns the title of god of war? Let's have the god of metal fight the god of storms for who owns the title of god of war. So that's what's happening in this story. Is for the
So
title of god
Do
of God's fight.
so Dotun, let me ask you this: does Ayodele tell you exactly what to draw, or do you just have a collaboration of how the story is supposed to go, and you decide, okay, I'm gonna do it this way, and I'm gonna have him have this chick up against the wall, giving her that long beat. How did that come about?
Oh God.
So it's
But before you even answer,
yeah.
They're a bunch of haters, so let me just say that. So go ahead, Dotun.
I, I didn't get the question.
No, so basically,
No, I didn't
when
get said rather. Sorry.
yeah, no, no, don't worry. That's just him being silly. So,
Oh,
does he tell you specifically what to draw, or do you base? How does that come to be? How the art matches the words? How does that? How does your collaboration work?
so it's a true collaboration. Many times, always. Most times, what is in the script is not exactly what is visually represented. Yeah. So you're mostly like, this is what I have in my head. What Murewa writes is what I have in my head. In my head, this is what I think it should be. However, if you have something better, shoot it at me. Let us discuss. So if I like what I see and I think it works perfectly, I would stick to that 100%. But if I think I can add to it or take away or adjust or morph it into something else, something that is optimally suitable for what I think he's saying, because Mura is a visual storyteller himself too, and I would try that. I would. What takes most of my time is the conceptualizing of these things, like what I want and what he wants, and how to merge those two together. So when I do any of those things, I send it to him, and what do you think? And we agree. We have opposing views, and then we find a compromise, and we pick the best option. So it's like it's a true collaboration, always. So if I have to tweak one or two things, like I have some things to even change right now, I'll just take note and go back to those pages, and adjust the things. The goal is to give the best visual representation possible. Not exactly what I have in my head or what he has in his head. It's two heads coming together, finding the best representation of that moment on the page.
Here's what I want to know:
hey, shout
whose
out to
idea
Anthony
was
Davis.
this?
Thank you.
Listen, whose idea was this?
Idea.
Yeah, whose idea was this right here?
He's like,
Dotun?
where your screen? I'm pointing there. His idea.
So,
This
Ayodele,
point,
this was yours right here. That's you.
yeah, kind of. And something that we didn't say is talking about the scripting phase most of the time. But when it even comes to the story concept, like okay, what ideas do we work on? Number one, the first idea can come from either of us. Dr. might be like, you know what, I want to draw an elephant story. Yeah, and that kicks it up. So during the concept phase, it's the initial spark can come from either of us, and then we start discussing, and then we now say, okay, this is the concept, this is the bigger plot. Then in the outline too, I put something rough together. He gives his notes, so we fine tune everything. So the outline too is also mutually both of us. Then the scripting phase. That's when I now become like quote unquote the director, where I'm not like, okay, these are exact panel descriptions. And sometimes I'm like, because I think I have an artist's mind, so I usually see the panels. Sometimes there are some pages I only hear them. That's I only know what is being said. I can't see them, so I actually put in the script like Dotun. I don't see anything. I just hear them. So and Dotun takes the script. Sometimes he follows it. Sometimes he doesn't follow it, adjusting things and stuff like that. And he adds dialogue too. So even the dialogue is not just myself. He sometimes my dialogue he might move it around. Sometimes he might change it. So then I'll go back and edit my script to reflect his edits and stuff like that.
So
Quick
in
question.
this book specifically,
Hold on. One of the things that has come up a lot in this discussion, your pronunciation of the title character. How is the name properly pronounced?
Now, I'm not also a professional in it. I always say Akogun, and my sister has corrected me a million times that that's even wrong. It's supposed to be like Kaw, core, not core, and gun, like Gun. So it's Akogun. So you can say Akogun, but it's
Akogun.
more that, yeah. So it's A sound, core like a crow, then gun.
Akogun,
Akogun.
Akogun.
Yeah.
Akog.
Gotcha.
So you heard it here first, Black Comic Lords. That is the proper pronunciation of this
Akogun.
titular character.
So when it comes to this book specifically, do you guys have editors who say, "Yo, that's doing too much," or they just let you guys have free reign? Dotun?
We actually had an issue with that page or those pages.
We fought with the publishing team. We
So how did that go? So like, so
thought we
Dotun,
were going to get fired
when you
at that
turned in
point.
your pages, how did that go?
So our conversation around this project was we are having this leeway to do an R-rated book.
But they didn't
If
know what our definition of R rated was going to be.
probably they didn't understand what we or what we understood as R-rated.
So you
In
guys
it,
took advantage of the loophole.
and
He's like, yeah.
we understand that R-rated comes with its own pros and cons, its own
Issue
specific.
3 is crazy. Issue 3 is crazy. I'm just going to say that. Continue, Dotun.
It's crazier. Issue one was just little humans around Obatala with their things dangling around. You won't really notice all that. With the naked women carrying things, we were just trying to be a little bit safe there. But it's not like we're taking advantage of the R-ratedness or anything. We're not trying to be sexual. We're
We're
trying to
trying to
be.
tell you a real story.
We're trying to tell you what actually,
Right,
yeah, the
right.
real, not unnecessary, risky anything. No, 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 none
Right.
of that. You
They,
know,
they saw a page in issue 3 that Dotun drew recently, and they're like, okay. It seems when the trade paperback comes in for bookstores, we have to say 18 plus at this point.
yeah. So
Wow.
So they
So
were
it's
like, are
is
you okay
this
with
is this
this?
definitely going to be a trade paperback? At what point?
Yeah. So they said
so,
it have to be 18 plus.
so we turned those pages in and like, okay, these pages are here. What do you think? And we had this back and forth about um, the little too. This is too much. This is not. We had these long emails, and we're a bit confused. Like, but we had this conversation from the jump that this is an R-rated project. So we're really confused, and it's kind of moved into something else and back into something else, and then we adjusted some things. It was worse than that actually. So we adjusted some things, cut out some things, just
You
to
you
find.
cut you cut out things.
Yeah, yeah, we did cut out
Wait,
some.
wait, wait, wait. So what you drew was worse than what we got? All right, so hey, Dota, get a pen and paper. I'm gonna give you my email address, and I want you to send me the images that were rejected. All right?
I'll
Oh
post
God.
on Behance one of.
Look, just see issue three. Just issue three. The opening scene. The opening scene of issue three.
Wow.
When
That's
does
in
issue three? When does issue
August.
three drop?
August.
Just,
August. So
Dotun,
why the long delay?
do you draw with pen and paper, or do you do it digitally?
why did you do
Digital.
that before? But digitally now?
Digitally. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So issue three of Akogun comes out in August of 2024, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of
Only
you guys, who are watching us now, make sure that in your local comic book store, your LCS, that you go ahead and put Akogun on your pull list so you can get issues three when it drops in August. Go back and pick up issues 1 and 2.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's why they give us 2 months interval, because Oni is just fresh into this genre and stuff like that. So they wanted to
got
give
to.
enough time to be able to market it, convince comic shops to buy a book that has names on it that they can't pronounce and stuff like that. So they needed 2 months for that. And Dotun is like doing something new with this. This is not his usual art style. He colors his own work normally, and his line art is very thin and faint and stuff like that. But here he's like doing like proper rendering kind of stuff. So he's going far and beyond for this project. So he needs more time as well. Like he's basically still drawing issue three right now.
Right. I really like that cover with oh boy on the rhino. I really, really like that one. Who did the cover art on the third image that's on the screen right now? Who did the cover art on that
Um,
Ah,
um,
his name, yeah, his name is Judson
not
something.
not
His name is
Galo.
hard. Yeah, his name is hard to pronounce. He was. Yeah, I think we just say AJ.
one? Is he a Nigerian or
No.
No. The first we got a first set of covers from Oni, and they were by Ramon Villalobos,
Yeah.
AJ. This cover AJ and Gray Williamson, and I hope I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but we kind of fought for a project like this. We want more people that can capture that African vibe more.
right?
So we pushed more for Junibar to have a cover. Gray Williamson has another one in issue two. Um, then there are lots of like second printings that you've not seen the covers for yet. Um, we had one by Venus Bambisa from South Africa. The second cover there is by Salum Busuru of Kenya.
Yeah.
Uh, we have Jeffrey OEM issue two. This one of
Underwater.
Akogun Inside Water. That was a Jeffrey OEM from Nigeria. We have this horror cover by Samuel Unzi from Nigeria as well. We kind of like went to the continent to get a lot of creators, including
Gotcha.
creators that worked on. There's this Disney anthology series
Moto.
called Kizazimoto. We got a lot of
Yes, on
artists.
Disney Plus. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got a lot of artists that worked on the concept design to do covers for us.
So who did the cover for the first image on the rhino? Who did that one?
Lee
Um, in
Euclid.
Euclid,
Yeah.
Who?
In
in
Euclid.
Euclid,
In Euclid.
I like that one. I really, really like image number one.
I actually just got a mail call and got this image from
nice. Yeah, that's Venus Bambisa.
this is dope.
Is that
I
image two? Is that issue two or not issue one?
Issue one, second printing of issue one.
the second printing issue just
Gotcha.
came out.
That is actually kind of cool. That's
Yeah,
dope.
Yeah,
he has this anime Afro samurai art style, and if you
yeah,
see
very
his
much so.
coloring, sick,
Afro
sick
Samurai.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked on Kizazimoto as well.
Okay.
Fantastic artist.
I don't know.
So
I don't know what's.
a little birdie tells me that there's a new book coming out involving a young lady by the name of Storm that somebody is gonna be writing. What's that about?
I
Tell me.
think I just finished I just finished writing Akogun. I was outside and then I got an email about working on Storm,
Who
and
sent you that
immediately
email? Who sent you that email? Who sent it to you?
Storm rewards.
Tom Brevoort. So Tom is your boy, basically.
No, I'm his boy. The other way around.
Okay. So Tom sent
So,
you an email. What was that email about?
and it's like they're working on a relaunch. They want to make Storm a solo character. They but the odd thing is they already have some parameters set that I would not get to be the one to decide. So if I come in, I have to play within those parameters. Am I cool with that? And the honest answer is I'm cool with working with the parameters, but I wanted to say no to the project.
Why?
And number one is the typecasting one.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I'd written enough of various other races
Right.
enough to jump on a black character so I don't get pigeonholed so quickly.
Yep.
That's one. And the second reason was I was scared.
Why?
Storm is so important to a lot of people
Yeah.
that I'm like, man, if I mess this up, I don't know if there's coming back. I don't know if there's coming back from this.
Yeah.
I was really scared. I wanted to say no. I really wanted to say no. And I think it was Dotun and my sister that like, see, if you say no, there's a high chance they might actually not give a better writer. It might actually
Yeah.
be a worse writer. And you're going to feel bad every time an issue comes out and you're like, I could have done better.
It's
Just
it's
face your fears and try to write a good story.
it's
Can
it's
you tell?
funny. I get the concern over being typecast. It's funny you should mention that. One of Black Panther's most famous writers, Christopher Priest, was always concerned about that. So much so that it almost seems like he was shying away from doing a lot of black characters at one point because he did not want to get typecast. And he's done a lot of work outside of black characters.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a real concern. But I'm glad you decided to take the project because it's not just any old black character. This is the most well-known black superheroine in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's no number two that's even relatively close. Storm is the most recognizable black superheroine in comics, and she means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you decided to run with it because having your perspective, I've had people on the internet say, well, "Oh, finally, having an African writer write Storm, who has, Kenyan origins, is something that we're really looking forward to." So there's people that have that mindset, the curiosity of seeing, and then honestly, there haven't been that many black writers of the character of Storm
Yeah. Yeah.
in general. There just haven't. You're one of the few, so it's a tremendous opportunity that you're going to have. If you don't know Ayodele, there's a lot of people that have eyes on you on this book. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people have eyes on you when it comes to
No
this book.
pressure. No
No
pressure at all.
pressure. But
No,
understand,
no,
once that book dropped, the
be,
internet blew up.
because I understand that pressure, because I had that in I Am Iron Man. I had written issue 5, issue 1, 2, and 3, and the book gets announced, and I was able to write for months. I was trembling. I was so scared. I couldn't write a new script. It took me about 3 months to write issue 4. and that's how scared I was. So,
So can
so I was expecting that in Storm, that when it gets announced, I'm going to be really scared and I won't be able to write. So immediately Tom Brevoort called me. Normally it takes me a month to write a script because of how much research I have to do. I have to test a lot of things out. I try to get the voices of every character and stuff like that. So at my fastest, maybe, and I wrote 5 issues in 5 weeks. I
wow.
almost died. I almost died. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. I wanted to write as many issues as possible before it gets announced, so that when the pressure comes, and let's say I freeze, Tom would have to rush me like, "Hey, we were waiting on some scripts." Because that I've written scripts up to um what will come out in March next year. What will come out in March year, I've written it. So even if I freeze now, I know I will have time to recover and then start writing it. So that's how scared I was about the attention.
Not so you've written 9 months worth of stories already.
No, 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 no. I'm talking about when it will come out. It's just six. It comes out in October. So it's October,
Oh,
November,
okay, okay.
December.
So
So
can you tell us what some of the parameters were that you were given, or is that secret?
Yeah, I can tell you that. Number one, Atlanta.
it has to
She'll be
take place
based
in
in
Atlanta.
Atlanta. That she'll be based in Atlanta. That came,
Yeah,
yeah,
ATL. That's where I live. Yeah.
that came from editorial. I like that.
Monster.
Um, she's going to be a political figure,
Yeah.
Okay.
basically having some, like, it's going to be a political drama. That
Okay.
also came from editorial. She's going to be an Avenger. That came from editorial. She has to be on planet Earth.
Okay.
That's also editorial. And so yeah, most of it I kind of liked it. The costume, I didn't have an hand in the costume. The costume came before I came on board, so that was also by editorial.
So
So
editorial told you that she has to be on planet Earth in Atlanta and a political figure.
yes, so I now added when I was doing research and I found out a link to eternity. I
Mm,
brought that on board. Um, then I planned some costumes. I planned some costume changes. So that's me. But I like the political drama stuff, but I was scared a lot of people are going to like jump out. Because I know political drama can be a political comic can be interesting. Comics like Ex Machina by Brian K. Vaughan about Mayor 100, who is the
yeah.
mayor of New York City.
Yeah.
So I know it can be interesting, but uh that was Vertigo. Marvel Comics readers, would they really want that? So I found a way to kind of like blend the political drama thing with like mad cosmic action. So now
Gotcha.
we're going to be having like a little bit of both to be able to balance things out. And yeah, I
Yeah.
I said it
Somebody
was
just asked, did you say Storm was going to face eternity?
I can't specify, but she's going to Eternity is going to dance around her. We don't know if she's going to face her, join forces, whatever. I'm not going to say that, but yeah,
Eternity will be involved, basically.
yes.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so let me ask you this: did you get any direction about her relationship with
With
T'Challa,
T'Challa.
aka Black Panther?
That was a question I was going to ask, but you cut me off.
No, I think I'm free to decide that.
For the
Okay.
love of
Oh,
God,
oh,
listen,
geez.
for the
Hold
love
on,
of
hold on,
I
God,
hold
don't
on,
know.
hold
I
on.
don't know
please
if
put them together.
Rhea.
For the
I don't
love
know.
of
I don't know
God.
if I don't know if I pitch it if they will say yes or no. I still have to pitch it. But
Rhea, here's the thing. Mark and I do this show every week, and it really centers around Wakanda and Black Panther. And let me give you some context. So Marvel, to its credit, over the last couple years, have been giving a lot of glow up to Storm, specifically a number of writers, Jonathan Hickman, Al Ewing in particular, who's probably one of the best writers of Storm to date, Jerry
Mm-hmm.
Duggan to some degree as well. They've really uh, given a lot of shine to the character, um, and breaking up T'Challa and Storm is a major issue among a lot of Black comic book fans, particularly those of the men of a certain age who kind of enjoyed that relationship back in the early 2000s. Um, I don't like Craig the NASA dude, uh, but here's the thing: she's going to be an Avenger. I suspect she's actually going to be the leader of the Avengers, based on what's on the solicit, which is
you saw his face, right? When you said that statement, he could not hide his face. But go ahead with your question. But you need to pay attention to his face. Go ahead. Go ahead.
she is of the roster that she is joining. She's the only one who's not been a leader of that team,
Yeah.
and the solicit says one of the reasons she's being recruited is for her leadership abilities.
Mm.
So, putting two and two together, I think she's going to be the leader of the Avengers at some point. That would be logical. Um, I don't understand how she's going to be living at Avengers space station
Yeah.
with T'Challa, and not have the issue of their relationship come in, especially
Yeah.
if Craig comes visiting.
And that's why I don't want to touch that relationship because Jed has that covered. I think I already read a script where that's already coming up. So Jed has that covered. The dynamic
Jed
between
McKay.
Storm,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Jed so I think he's going to be like handling that, and I don't want us to have too many overlaps basically in stories. And the mindset that Storm has that we're going to be exploring, like what happened to Storm, is what we're going to be exploring in this story. And the mindset Storm has right now is she's trying to she's trying to do everything herself. She's trying to be solo. Like she's not with the X-Men, she's not with anything. Like in the opening issue, she lives alone in a very, very massive compound alone. And that's what we're going to be exploring. Why? And it's going to take a lot of time to fully explore, like, why is she choosing to be alone? What has she gone through during the time that the Krakoa era ended and now? Why is she trying to do this all by herself? And that I do explore some romance a little, but not too much, because right now she's trying to be the protector of the planet. And even in Atlanta, she's going to be based in Atlanta. She's going to have some adventures in Atlanta, but it's going to be mostly like international stuff. Like issue one, Oklahoma, issue three. Issue three is like I think it's that would be a spoiler in the location, but another country in South America. South America. Issue okay, sorry, issue two is South America, issue three is back in America, and she spreads around. Four is an European country that is mythical in nature. So she
Latveria.
Yeah.
so yeah, I think we knew Doctor Doom is coming. So yeah, so there's that. Four basically happens in another dimension and stuff. So um it's going to be like international espionage superhero kind of thing. And
That's my jam.
so that's on the level she's playing. And yeah, it's going to be really emotional to explore and to see what's going on there.
It's interesting that you're doing that perspective. I have every Storm series. I have every issue that Storm has ever been in terms of having her own solo runs. And one thing that is really apparent: there has never been, honestly, there have been good Storm runs, particularly Eric Dyson's run, but there's never been a clear, definitive Storm run. in terms of defining who she is,
Yeah.
because there's so many different phases of her life and different facets, whether it be the little thief from Cairo, or the goddess from Kenya, or the queen in Wakanda, or the leader of the X-Men, and now this political take. We have all these different facets to the character, but we still are we just still don't have a definitive definition as to who she is at her core. And this is a tremendous opportunity for you to do that. Be the first
Yeah.
writer of a Storm series to do that.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
The funny thing is, we had that exact conversation, Murewa.
yeah, Dotun said
That
that to me.
yeah, yeah. We had interviewed Eve Ewing when she was going to be writing Photon,
Okay.
Mhm.
and that's another character, very powerful black superheroine who
Yeah.
never really had a definitive run. And so she really wanted to explore all of those different facets. One of them being she broke up her relationship with Blue Marvel to
Out of the
allow
blue,
her, huh?
out of the blue.
To allow her to have the freedom to more delve into who the character was. Now, um, whether or not she was successful at addressing that by doing that, I mean that's up to people, individual people to decide. But I understand what you say when you're like, relationship wise, I'll touch upon it, but I have a bunch of other stuff I have to do that's kind of
Yeah,
a
like
bigger
she's
perspective.
yeah, she basically in like this Spider-Man story in Dan Slott, where Spider-Man makes this proclamation that nobody
Is
will
going to die.
die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So Storm is going to have something of like that moment where she proclaims herself that mutants, humans, synthetics, like sorcerers, whatever you are under my protection. That kind of thing. And we're going to see what that weight that she takes upon herself is going to do to her. And that weight is going to cost her things. She will have to sacrifice some things along the way. Because uh, like I read a lot of Storm stories, and even in stories they call Storm solos, she's really not solo. And we I want to have that Frank Miller Daredevil run. I want to have all those great Spider-Man stories. I want to have all that with Storm. Let's see her face weights that are beyond her, both physical, emotional, and everything. And that's how we can see her shine. And yeah, so it's really hard to describe without giving spoilers away. But yeah, you're
Basically,
going to
part of the
Storm is going to
conversation.
be more solo than you've seen.
Yeah.
I have four requests for your series. All right, four requests.
Up.
Request number one I already talked about, which is I need Storm and T'Challa back together. I'm always going
And
to say
that's
that.
and that one's up to Jet mostly.
Well, I will talk to send a letter to Jet. Second request would be to have more exploration of Storm's mystical side, because there's been a lot of discussion about that lately. Because she has a long history with Asaki, her ancestor from Egypt, one of her ancestors being the former Sorcerer Supreme. I'd love to see an exploration of how her mutant abilities tie into her mystical side. Third request would be some dope cameos. One of the things I thought was always cool was when we saw her power interact with Monica Rambeau's power. I thought that was cool. They
Um,
formed a circuit. I thought that was
I
cool.
to interrupt you there. Um, like I said, not to be typecasted, you try to balance things and stuff like that. But I just coincidentally found myself at the end of like issue 5, like, oh, I think issue 6, yeah. There are lots of black characters that make cameos here in this series. So I'm like, I think some people are going to call this the Black Book or something. So,
So,
so it's
about what time period would that book drop? April, March? When would that one drop?
The sixth issue.
the sixth issue, March.
March.
So like, so some of my favorites, Black characters, African characters. Yeah, you're going to see different races, obviously, but I
Dr.
think
Voodoo? Dr. Voodoo? Dr. Voodoo?
it's a
Dr. Voodoo?
no
Is that a
comment.
yes? No, no, no comments. That's a yes. Okay, go ahead.
Uh, um, I love that character, by the way. I extremely love that character.
It was in Am Ironman.
It was Nehemiah Man. He did a little cameo in Nehemiah Man issue 4.
That's right.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
my final request
Mm.
is that Dotun get to do some of the issues. I love Lucas Wernick. He's a brilliant artist, but I'd love give him a break on an issue and let Dotun come in. Is who do we got to talk to about that?
Yeah. Dotun is still drawing Akogun. So and oddly enough, we have so many projects that I want to do after, but we don't know which one to choose. So we don't. So we're kind of just seeing what will happen in the next couple of months. If something will happen, but we don't know yet. That's been a strange place we're in. So we don't know if
I
we're going to we don't know if we're going to do another indie work or we're going to do Marvel work or if it's good. Storm. I can't decide. That's up to Tom 100%. So we're not sure yet. But we've been
well I
hoping
hope
if
uh,
possible we could go back to Iron Man or something.
yeah I hope he at least gets some cover work because you did a fantastic cover for Air of Apocalypse that dropped this past week that people have been going crazy over.
Have you seen his
Um,
Vengeance of the Moon Knight cover?
which one? The Vengeance of the Moon Knight cover.
Vengeance of the Moon Knight issue 2 cover. If it's possible to like stretch it out and bring it up.
Yeah, I didn't
Sick.
pull it up. Hold on. You
So
guys,
while so while Paul is doing that, Dota, do you have any Marvel stuff coming up?
do I have what?
Do you have any Marvel stuff coming up that you can talk about, or a DC
or anything else?
that you can talk about?
Not yet. Not
Okay.
yet. Yes.
What else are you working on outside of Akogun?
We have some things, some projects that Murewa and I are working on for certain studios.
In animation, but I think we've fallen too much. We have fallen too in love with comics. Every time we keep picking a comic project over the animation project. Like there's a company that we're thinking that by the time we finish their projects, they're going to give us the middle finger because they've told us they've told us to bring like the scripts for the pilot since like it's not 2 years ago now. And every time we're like, ah man, this new comic project and stuff. So
Is this the cover here?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You do fantastic work with black and white too, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The shading.
We remember a comment we got in Moon Knight Black, White, and Blood, where someone said Dotun's artwork looks good because he cheated. Everybody used black, white, and red, but he used more colors. I was like, dude, he only used
How?
black, white, and red, but it's just so good that you forget that it's not colored.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we played around with characters. We didn't use characters that had blue or stuff like that. We used Spider
how
Man's
many
black.
is how many issues of this Moon Knight series are you going to be working on, Dota?
No, no, just the
Like
cover. For sure too.
cover for just
Just
this
the
one.
cover,
Yeah.
just that one.
Yeah.
Okay. When does this
Also
drop?
from Brevoort's office too.
No,
So
this one already came out.
Oh, it's already out.
yeah.
Yeah, it already came out.
February 14.
Got you.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go through some of the comments real quick? Because what time is it where
Yeah.
you guys are right now?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
we kept you.
5 a.m.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
there were questions that I had starred. Let me get to those questions for people,
Okay.
so you guys can answer those. Give me 1 second. Go to the beginning. Um,
Hey, what was that you're drinking? Ayodele? What is that?
It's a sports drink.
Is that a African only? The coast?
no, no, they
I
have
never
that in
seen that
Jamaica
one.
too.
Oh, I think they have it in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, they have that in Jamaica too. All right, so here's a question from Mike Alleyup. What country is June 12th originated from and existing in?
Oh, Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Yeah.
All right,
Is
next question.
is man, how do I describe his power sets? How do I describe his power set? I'm trying to describe his power set.
Can't remember.
No, he has powers, but like for example, if he's coming to a fight, he shows up in front of you, you turn back, he's already there. But it's not like he. But we are not even sure if it's super speed or like he vanished. Like
But
is a
tell it.
mysterious. You said or teleportation, yeah. Like he's a mysterious figure in that sense. Like even you reading the comic, you're not sure what his powers are, but you know it's not like ridiculous like that, just cooking up anything. He's just that badass. Like he's like he's like Batman, like the way you imagine Batman in your head, but it's that in reality or something. It's very very strange. But I think one of the best story written by him is in a book called Spirit Wars. It
Yeah.
was the Nigerian version of Big Marvel Events by Vortex Comics, written by Mamode Ogbewele, a friend of mine. And I think June 12 was looking for a character, and he described that he basically he basically explored every single surface area of the planet Earth in just 12 seconds. And
Wow.
you know, talking about how his legs bleed or something, it was like this epic narration and stuff. So I think it might be super speed. I think that's his power. But you never see him run. Like he doesn't teleport. His power is super speed, but he doesn't run.
Hmm.
So it's this strange power. I think that's his power set. It's super speed, but you don't see him run.
Okay.
Or he's
So it's
never
like
shown.
you said,
All right, next.
He's never shown to run.
he's never shown to run. So it's like
The next
Batman with
question we
super
have is
speed.
from Austin C.
Don't. Who are your favorite Black Panther
I'm
writers?
sorry, my
It's
internet's lagging.
it's going to sound like a cop out. It's basically the most recent person, Brian Edward Hill.
So you
And
consider Blind Edward Hill a Black Panther
don't
writer?
say that because like because I've not read a lot of Black Panther comics,
Right.
but of the ones I've read, I would say is Brian Edward Hill.
Okay.
Because a lot of the ones I've read, not all, the ones I've read, they focus too much on the political aspects of Wakanda that it becomes extremely boring. Like, guy, why does everything have to be this political this thing? And the Brian Edward Hill one is like, this is war kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, yeah, let's get to that.
Dotun, what about you? Who's your favorite Black Panther writer?
That's that. Yeah.
Who?
You said?
I don't have an answer to that. There's just one I didn't like.
Which one was that?
Hey.
Huh?
Yeah, it does, so I don't like he's throwing shade on someone.
Yeah.
To be fair, a lot of Black Panther books were like, oh God, because we're from Africa. So
Yeah.
when they try telling African stories and they're like, this is not even Africa, and you're trying to appear like you're deep, it's just like, oh God, I'm just tired already. Yeah, yeah. So it's the comics are not. Uh,
The one I had with the writer was basically spoon feeding the audience, and
Okay.
the writer wasn't African. You know,
So let me ask you this: how old is that comic that you're referring to, Dotun?
are you trying to pinpoint?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
uh,
there's one I enjoyed partially, and I think it was drawn by John Romita Jr. I'm not sure the name of the writer.
Okay. All right. So Dotun, I'm coming back to you now. Which one specifically
I think
did
I,
you?
I think it's about 6 years now. right?
Okay.
It's about 6 years. Yeah,
And you liked or weren't necessarily a fan of.
I wasn't a fan. I was a fan. I could
Okay.
manage others were cool. Yeah, I wasn't a
Okay.
fan.
So
I
that
think
one would be
I sent the
Ta-Nehisi Coates.
juniors up to you.
Oh, no, no, no,
Sorry.
no, no. Coats is fire.
So you like Coates?
It's good.
Okay. So was it before or after Coates? Listen, you got to understand something. I'm a lawyer by trade, right? So I'm
I
used to getting to the answer
you
of
you
a
want
specific
him to
question.
say you want him to say is
Yes, yes, I do.
I think I
Yes,
know the
I
name he
do.
wants you to say.
Hmm. I
With,
think
with you know, go
I
ahead.
think on your channel you even call him the one that should not be named or something.
I plead the fifth. Lloyd.
Ah! That's an American thing. I like that. I like how you did that. Listen, I'm on record of saying that the guy who shall not be named, who wrote the second most recent volume of Black Panther, which I think was volume 8, was just not a good run. But other than that, most of them have been for me personally, I think Reginald Hudlin's run was number one for me. Don McGregor's run for Jungle Action is number two. And then you can throw everybody else after that. But the Hubman run back in the early mid 2000s was the perfect run because that's the run where Storm and T'Challa officially got together, where they got married, and we had that relationship. One of the things that we've said in this space a lot is that as Black fans of Black characters, we don't really see a lot of Black love when it comes to superheroes. You have, and I'm throwing other names out here, but you've got Mr. Fantastic and Sue Richards. You've got Clark and Lois. You've got Spider-Man and Mary Jane Watson. The idea of Black love is lacking in comics. So that's one of the reasons why Paul and I are trying to get Storm and T'Challa back together.
Are there even black best friends in superhero comics?
Right, right. Now, I don't read Miles Morales, but it's my understanding that Miles may be dating another Black superhero character. But I
Starling.
don't read that.
Starling.
Right. So I don't read that comic book, so I can't speak on that. But
We're talking
other
about like I've gone for a long time. I was talking about I'm thinking of friendship and marriage, not dating. There's
right.
ones for dating, but friendships and marriage. Friendships
We
not
don't
so.
see it that often. We don't see it that often. And so that's why, personally, as a fan of comics of this genre, I really want Storm and T'Challa to be back together. Just throwing it out there. I understand that Tom. I understand that Tom may be in charge of that, but just throwing it out.
Apparently, Jed is the guy we gotta go.
Jed.
Yeah, since he's writing both of them. Yeah, it's going to be
So
easier
if
for
you
him.
so if you want to shoot him an email and say, look,
Yeah, because I don't want to be having conflicts with like
yes,
story visiting
I
the same
get it.
thing.
I get it.
All right.
So what are some of the other comments?
Some comments here. Everson Salvatore says Storm has already been able to withstand the consciousness of eternity in her mind. They already had a connection. Are we going to see a fight or something deeper?
I can't give a comment to that.
No comment.
That's a good comment.
Yeah, no comment.
Don't sleep on the relationship dynamic stuff. It's always a good interest getter. Okay. Send a kiss to Brazil.
Sorry, can I see the previous one again?
Sure.
Yeah, it depends on your definition of relationship. I consider friendship the most important one.
Okay.
So wait. So you consider friendship more important than romantic relationships?
Yeah.
Same here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Who's Storm's best friend? Jean Grey?
Yeah. In my
Kitty
run,
Pryde.
we're not going to see each other that much. But I'm cooking up something.
Okay.
Have you created any new characters in this run?
Oh, good question.
Not yet. I've been trying to use older characters that people aren't using. But I have two new characters that I want to play. I want them to play a big role, but I've not introduced them yet. So I'm hoping it sells well that I can get to do that. Because currently, I'm taking a pause until I'm very sure I'm going to have a lengthy run, so I can now start cooking with the characters I have. But I can say one. There's one from Dotun Moon Knight story
Mm.
that, and she was in Dotun Moon Knight story. She was also in Am Ironman. I want to bring her over to Storm, and there's an original one I want to create. So
In issue two, the
five.
character from is it five?
5, yeah.
It's original creation. It's not an old character. It's an original creation of Dotun.
So is this a storm run? Is it a limited series or it's just open unless until it does well or not or what? How does that work?
It's an ongoing. Um, um, I'm planning. I'm planning 25 issues,
Oh,
because of the
nice.
way, but because of the way I write, it's probably going to be 30. And there will be different events that will come in and stuff like that that will expand what you're trying to write. So I'm planning 25, but it's probably going to be 30 because of times and stuff.
So
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 let me.
And
so so hold on, Mark. So this is a very important part. PSA portion. Okay, for you guys who are fans of Ayodele's writing and the character Storm, and you want to see it be successful, make it an ongoing run. Have him get his whole 30 issues that he needs. Pre-order this book as soon as it comes up, and keep pre-ordering it. Ask your LCS to give you a subscription to his book. That's how you get the books to keep going,
That's
and get as many
basic.
variant couples as you can.
Basically, Paul just said what I was getting ready to go to. You know, this space that we have here, we always try to highlight Black characters and Black creatives. He's already said that this is not necessarily a limited series. It's supposedly going to be an ongoing series so long as it's supported. So if you are watching us now, a couple of things. Number one, hit the like and subscribe button to Black Comic Lords. Number one. That includes YouTube. YouTube, Dotun, Ayodele. Hit like and subscribe to Black Comic Lords. Number two, if you have interest in these characters, go to your local comic book store and say, yo, I want the upcoming Storm series, put it on my pull list. That lets Marvel know that there is an interest in these characters and the creatives to keep it going. So we know that he's not been giving a 4 issue, 6 issue limited run. It's going to be an ongoing series so long as it's supported. We need to support this. I already told my comic book store that I want this run. You're going to get my money. Okay. So I'm telling everybody else out there, make sure that you support this run.
Absolutely.
thank you.
For
Message.
Let me say this. One of my favorite creatives is Kanan White. If you can get Kanan White to do a variant cover, I'd appreciate it. So I'm just throwing that out there.
All right, let's go back to these comments. Hype Style says, I'd like to see lots of up close combat with Storm and how formidable a martial artist she is. She can beat so many people even without the wind and lightning.
Storm 3.
Storm
Okay.
3. There
Storm
goes
3.
your answer, Hype Style.
Okay. So that's
Wow.
what. So that's December. December.
December.
What I want to
All right.
see is her powers clearly defined as Omega level and what that truly means in relation to her. Now, that's a good comment. That's a good comment. We have seen over the last couple of years a couple of interesting things with Storm. We've seen her help terraform a planet. We've seen her just recently, I think it was Resurrection of Magneto. No, one of the X-Men titles, where she was going like light speed in space.
Mm.
Um, so there doesn't seem to be any end to her powers. Are you going to
Uh,
be able to explore some of what are the other things that she can do with her power set in your room?
yeah, I think Ali when tried this was able to define the previous one as Omega level. But In my run, what I'm doing basically is it's not going to matter that she's Omega level. The things coming for her are beyond Omega. She still has to work hard for it.
I'm looking
So,
forward to this.
so yeah, so that's the thing. Like we're talking eternity and eternity level guys. You
Okay.
get
So that's
uh,
cosmic level type stuff.
that's because so if, and even on Earth, she's going to be facing stuff that it's not just about. I some people think it's when I'm saying it's just only about power sets and stuff. Some stuff are going to rough her up emotionally, and I don't believe in people that say, "Oh yeah, your character like has to like struggle and suffer and stuff." So it's not going to be like the Spider-Man treatment or anything.
Thank you for that.
But but she's going to go through stuff that she has to like sweat for.
That's why it's the labels of Tom.
Yeah, I call it the labors of Tom. Storm, yeah. But so basically, like Hercules, yeah, Hercules is super strong and stuff, but the stuff he had to go through, he had to be smart for some, he had to be fast, he had to be cunning, and he had to be powerful for some stuff. So that's basically what it's going to be.
I like that concept, the labors of storm. It also helps you define all of those different facets to her more cogently.
Exactly.
That's a good literary device. That's I like
Yeah,
that.
and a little trope of mine is exploring characters' relationship with their parents, which I did in I Am Ironman. So there's
Yeah.
going to be a little of that here too. So things like what she faces, experience with her father, is a father that they explore here. Those things does they don't have anything to do with our power level. You understand? So some are
Hmm.
going to be emotional struggles and stuff.
And she's back in the United States. She has family. She has a from her father's side of the family, the Monroes. She's
Yeah.
got family in the United States that doesn't really get explored.
At all, ever.
They
What are
showed
some
up
of
to
the
her. They showed up to her wedding, and that's the last time we've seen them really.
what are some of the other comments?
Yeah, mystical heritage. She's going to be on the Avengers, and Doctor Voodoo is an Avenger. X Men are going to be in New Orleans. Doctor Voodoo is no, so please do that. Hmm, okay.
What does Dr.
Uh,
Wu mean?
I don't know
Uh,
what the no part is. Maybe it's probably unlikely she'll be in your book. I don't know.
I can't. By saying I can't say I've said, but I'll still say I can't say. So
Okay, fair enough.
this is a character I love to some extent.
Listen, we're
He-
not trying to get you in trouble. We listen. We
yeah.
understand. You can't say. You can't say. We get it. Understand. What's some other comments?
Who is the God Brutalizer book under? Is that Oni Press, right?
Only press.
Oni
On the
Press.
press.
Will we see her grandparents show up at some point?
I can't say. I know it's bad form to say it, but I'm still planning issue 7 to 30. I know the overall story. I know the overall story. That's the big plot. I know it. I know how it's going to end. I know the last line, but
How you
there's
get there, you haven't developed yet.
yeah,
Gotcha.
I know how to get there. I know how to get there too, but like like Samurai Jack. The
Yes.
big the big thing is basically him going back home to stop Aku.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you know the whole thing, you know what's going to happen and everything. But they're like the little minutiae of oh, on our birthday, what will happen on our birthday during that
Yeah.
time, what will happen on this day. So all those smaller things, I can't work them out yet. Because sometimes some characters are never available to you. You don't even know if they will be available. Some might be dead, they might come alive. Different things will come up. So those ones usually change, no matter how much you
Right.
plan. They
So,
change
like,
often.
for example, her birthday, T'Challa buys her something and winds and dines her. As an example, I'm
No,
just saying.
more
I'm
like an
just saying.
example, I wrote issue one. Frenzy is going to show up. Before I found out Frenzy is going to be an X Factor. So I have to be careful how much I use Frenzy.
Right.
Because I don't
I
want
don't
to
care about
upset.
Frenzy. Don't give a damn about Frenzy. I'm talking about T'Challa. I
I
use
was just giving an
specific
example.
words. Right.
All right, next question.
So stuff like that I can't give answer to because I honestly don't know.
Funny, the politics angle is what interests me. Fighting is okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
personally as a fan of espionage stuff, that interests me as well. So I
Yeah.
can definitely say that interests me.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I was saying, that it's both. I didn't want it to be completely political. I wanted
Right,
to like so that there's a little bit. Dr. And I always say this thing of Brian K. Vaughan. We kind of analyze his storytelling and we realize that there's this our favorite writers are writers that write what we like to call holistic storytelling. And that's storytelling that has a little bit of everything. It has a little bit of romance, it has a little bit of action, a little bit of suspense, a little bit of everything, some wholesomeness and stuff like that. So that's the approach I would be taking with Storm. So it's going to be a little bit of everything. So I know I keep talking about the fighting a lot, but because the superhero comics, those are the things you have to talk about that are exciting.
right,
If you talk
right,
about the politics stuff, it's all filled with spoilers, and because they're not like, if I tell you Storm and somebody's going to fight, it doesn't spoil anything. You still have to see the fight scene and you still be excited. But if I tell you that someone is going to betray someone, things like politics, I've spoiled the whole thing, no matter how good a writer I am.
right.
So I don't say stuff like that. I talk about more about the fighting, but that doesn't mean the story is going to be all about fighting.
Gotcha. Okay, what's
All
some of
right.
the comments?
Damon Watson says, "Will there be an opportunity for you all to write and draw a Black Panther run to give it your perspective and lasting, more authentic interpretation of the character and his world?"
Dotun?
Yeah, earlier we said we have a pitch. Um, we we would love to do something with Black Panther, but maybe not now.
Mm.
No.
So when you say not now, what do you mean? Like not now today, or you talking about 5, 10 years in the future? What do you mean by that?
Personally, I'd wish for like maybe 2 years or next year or something from
Okay,
now. Yeah.
fair enough.
What's going on with the Black Panther character right now?
Mm.
Our,
That's,
our, our take on it will be very different,
huh.
extremely
Yeah.
different.
Just so long as
Yeah.
he's actually the king of Wakanda, fine.
Like like for example in Marvel Voices that we did together, when people think about okay, I th- the Wakanda was created to subvert expectations. At the time, I think people think of Africa, they think of backward.
Spears, huts,
Yeah.
backwards. Yep,
And
yep,
then these people are actually very advanced technologically.
yep.
But it's a very good subversion. But in trying to keep with that, you now tell the story of an African world where it's not deeply connected to Mother Earth. It's not
Mhm.
deeply connected to nature. It's not deeply connected to spiritualism and
Realism,
stuff like that. And so you've now told an African story that doesn't have the strength of Africa. So
because
and
expectation. So you are
because you want
sacrificing
to support
for
expectation, you now lost that strength too. So and you see a little of that in our little short story where they faced the threat that science could not stop.
yeah.
So let's go into magic.
So Dotun, you were saying something I couldn't hear. You kind of faded out a little bit. What were you saying, Dotun?
Yeah, basically what Murewa is saying, our take on Black Panther will be very different. It might be too different. I'm not too sure how it will be received. So what we try to do, because Murewa has a very unique story structure, and for years we've been trying to kind of gradually show people or lead people into that storytelling style. I personally I think it is so unique. It can almost be abrasive. Tom has even mentioned it before in his newsletter. I was very happy to see it. Mura wasn't sure what exactly Tom saw, but it's something I've been telling him for years. It's close to what Christopher Nolan did with Inception, or what he likes to do with time. Mura is a very
Right, right.
planned editor. It scatters the whole thing. If you're not patient enough, if you're not a reader, if you're not a comic book lover, you would jump out. But if you are patient, you would go through the whole thing and take the confusion with chest. Be confused, be allowed, allow yourself to be confused. It's okay. Then go back and read it again. You actually understood it, but you didn't trust the writer enough. You didn't trust your intellect enough sometimes, but you got it. So when you read it the second time, you're like, oh, okay, I did get it. I was not just sure. So there's a M Night Shyamalan-esque thing going on.
That by the end it now clicks. A
Just
lot of
click.
people that think they don't understand one and two yet, when they sit through, they're like, "Oh my god, I
Actually,
suspected it, but I thought it wasn't that," and so many things.
sometimes when they call your story non-linear, it's actually linear. It's just I don't want to show you the diagram. I draw his stories and I show it to him that this is what you've done here because I'm very visual. So I just draw the things and
Like
draw the things
story maps.
and show him the story map. I'm like, you've scattered what people expect in issue two, they're not going to get in his issue two. And sometimes issue twos are not issue twos because if it's a three-part story, issue two is going to be different. If it's a five-issue story, that issue two has the leeway to do some things that a three-part story wouldn't do in their issue two. So what you're expecting in issue two of Murewa sometimes is not what you will get. You'll be getting issue three in issue two, and issue three will give you issue four, and issue four will give you issue three, and issue five will give you the other half of issue one. And you're like, this is ridiculous. So Mura writes like, I know you would have issues with me, but trust me. And
Like some people expect that issue two of Akogun will be all
but
fight scenes.
let me give them a little bit of the insides of it, the goings on here. Mura showed me something Ton Rivot sent to him, and it's something I told him many years back. Because we sit down sometimes and we deconstruct our favorite writers. Like we deconstruct before YouTube reviewers or anything. In fact, some of these YouTube reviewers do not do these things anymore, and I don't know why. Because we didn't have comics, so we went to them to show us, to teach us storytelling and everything. And now they just say, "Oh, this writer is trash." You can't just throw the bath water away and the baby. You have to explain things to people. If you call yourself a reviewer, we hold you to a higher standard. You're supposed to break things down and make people you say, "Oh, this writer is trash," or trash rather. You just don't say somebody is trash. What did you see? What didn't you like? What did you like? You know. Anyway, so we make arguments for and against writers, and we break down their storytelling, and we find tropes, and we try to learn ways of how to make things rewatchable, rereadable. So many years ago, we said something. I said something. I said you write in a way that Jonathan Hickman writes. There's
Hmm.
a don't worry. Trust me.
It'll
Go.
pay off later.
I'll pay it off later.
Right.
Don't worry. Trust me. Hickman, then, at the time when we did this deconstructing thing, we realized that Hickman's issue ones are not the conventional issue ones. The most
Yeah,
issue Hickman has ever written to us is the Spider-Man thing, the Ultimate
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
That's the
Spider-Man is his first normal issue one.
that's
Most of
normal.
his issue ones kind of push you away. Like,
We were like, it was like, don't worry, I got you. You get back to this. I'll pay it off. So Mira does that a lot, and I've been telling him for years, like, dude, you and Hickman are doing something that I really like. I just hope that people who don't know you who don't know that name, that when they see your name, they just say, who's this? I hope they would have the faith. But you know what? I trust you. Do you? You trust what you have. Put it out there. Let's see
But
what happens.
but the thing with Jonathan Hickman doing that though is Hickman is probably one of the five writers in comics that can walk into an editor's office and say, "I have an idea for a book," and they say, "Sure, here, sit down here. We'll give you as much time to write your story. How many issues does it takes? to write
Exactly.
your story to make the payoff happen. Not a
Exactly.
lot of writers have that you know grace,
Leeway.
yeah,
Leeway.
leeway or grace
Yeah.
to do that, because
Exactly.
sales matter, and you have to have a certain amount of sales to get,
Yes.
if you don't get your sales within those 5 issues, it's going to be a trade paperback, and they move on to the next project.
So,
Yeah.
Dotun, let me ask you this. So, do you have, like, in your computer or on your sketch pad, Black Panther images already?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Hmm? So,
I,
I'm
I
gonna
have
I'm gonna give you my email address, and you can go ahead and send me what you got. It won't be leaked. I'm just curious. I'm just throwing that out there. How much have you already created in reference to Black Panther that hasn't been released? Both of you guys.
uh, I try not to do much because then I would want it to come out too badly. I
Yeah.
might
Right.
start begging, I might start begging editors and stuff like that. So I think I know the big villain, and I know the direction it takes.
Right.
Uh, Shuri, Black Panther would play a big role, but nothing too
So,
much.
so
So
let me just ask you this, and again, I understand you haven't pitched this, and I'm not asking necessarily for specifics, but is the big villain in your mind's eye a character that has already been introduced or somebody new that you have created?
new.
Really?
That
Okay.
never happens.
So Dotun, so based on what he's just said, how much of that have you already illustrated?
I can't say, but like he said, we don't invest too much.
Got you. Unless you know it's going to pay off. Yeah, that makes sense. I understand. I understand. I got you. But if you just want to throw a Black Panther image out there for the world to see,
Oh Lord,
nobody will be mad at you.
I apologize, guys.
You
All
ain't
right,
gotta apologize. Listen, you ain't gotta apologize for shit. I'm talking to Dotun. So again,
moving on,
so yeah,
moving on. Pericles Dragon Ball says, "Do you have a pick to play Storm in the MCU?"
Actresses, no.
Funny enough, I saved a picture yesterday, the day before yesterday, on
Hmm.
Twitter. I was going to send it to you.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I want to see what you're talking about. Yeah,
um, how do I? Okay, okay.
You can put it in the private chat, and then I can pull it up.
Yep.
And he was trying to show it from his phone to his laptop or something.
He's trying to be technical.
Yeah, something like that. Saved it somewhere. Yes, found.
you got it.
Yeah. Just hold on.
I'll be impressed if he can do this.
Chat. I'm dropping it in the chat.
All right.
Okay.
I'm a
She has
huge when it comes.
she
When
has something going on there that I like.
is she an African actress?
I, I, I don't know. I don't even know her.
I think she might just be a model. But
I
like,
think
I've
she's
not seen it
an actress.
yet. Okay.
Jodie Turner. Yeah.
Oh, Jodie Turner.
Jodie Turner Smith. Okay, yeah.
Yes, we know her.
Yeah, so Jodie Turner Smith, for those who don't know, Jodie Turner Smith was the actress in Queen of Slim. She also had a
Mm,
role in this series Jet, which was on Showtime, I think. And she's also
I've seen
in
it.
The
I see what you
Acolyte.
mean. I see what
So
you
that
mean.
Right. Listen, let me tell you something. Jodie Turner Smith, from a physical standpoint, is Storm. She's
Yes.
tall, she's
Calm.
dark skinned, she's beautiful. However, Jodie
There's no
Turner Smith
however.
as
There's no however.
no, I said what I said.
There's no
Jodie Turner
however.
Smith is beautiful. She's tall, and she looks like Storm.
And she can
However,
carry herself. She can act. She can do
however,
physical stuff.
she is not a good actress.
I
I'm sorry
disagree.
to say this.
I
That's
disagree.
fine. That's fine. You can disagree all you want, but she is not a strong actress. Number one. Number two, Jodie Turner Smith is old. for me, I would want somebody in their 20s, maybe early 30s, to play this role. Jodie Turner Smith is like 41, 42, give or take.
Because
But
she Queen and Slim. I saw that movie.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that movie was horrible. It was
um,
just not a good movie.
to give you a little pushback there, you said she's not a good actress. To play
Correct.
Storm, I think you need the Viola Davis acting.
Yes, 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 I agree with you. Viola Davis is one of the top 10 best actresses now, and she's not number 10. But Jodie Turner Smith is not that. Jodie Turner Smith was in a series, a movie on Amazon Prime with Michael B. Jordan called, I can't remember what the name of it is, but she was in that movie.
That's the title
She
of the
is,
movie.
you know what I'm talking about? You know the movie I'm talking
No,
about?
no, no. I was making a joke that I don't
Uh,
remember what the title is. Is that the title of the movie?
Right. I have no idea. I don't remember what the title of the movie is, but Michael B. Jordan was the star of it. Jodie Jodie Turner Smith was in that movie. She's just not a strong actress. Viola Davis is a phenomenal actress. Jodie Turner Smith is not on that level. Paul may very well disagree because we're here. That's fine. But I watch a lot of movies, I watch a lot of series, and even if something's not necessarily popular, I judge an actor or actress based on their performance. I've seen her in several different things. She's just not a strong actress to
Okay,
me.
okay, we got it.
Physically,
We
stop,
got it.
stop,
We
stop,
got
stop,
it.
stop,
We
stop,
got it.
stop, stop.
Dude,
Physically, yes. Physically, yes. She meets the characteristics, but
all
as
right.
an actress, not so much.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Jesus, this guy with fan casting. You mentioned the word fan casting. He'll go on a 30-minute rant.
But he
Apparently,
mentioned
he's
the
bagging.
actress.
Don't make me mute you, dude. Do you, Damon Watson says, "Didn't Storm have a friendship with Misty Knight in Black Panther and the crew?" Well, yeah. I mean, I guess so. That's not really much of a question. Chillmonger says, "Do you know exactly what the big event series are, or are you saying that you know there will be events coming?"
Oh yeah, there's we're already know like two. We're already know like two big events coming. There's one we're going to meet. We're going to talk about next week. But I jumped the gun. I already like wrote a script, even though it's even though we're not meeting, we're not at the meeting yet. So I'll probably change some things in the script. But yeah, there are two big events coming, and right now, no matter how much sales Storm has, there's one I'm definitely going to participate in. The second one will depend on sales.
Hmm. All right. Well, the last of our comments here. Rich is campaigning for some original art. Well, Dotun does his art digitally, so good luck with that. Taylor Love says Jody is too old.
Correct. Correct.
Jody Watley. I don't even know.
Jody,
Jesus,
bless
Jesus.
your heart.
Without
Without remorse.
remorse.
That's it. That's it. Without
And
remorse.
then
And
I
Jodie Turner
like
Smith,
Anadil
yeah,
too for Storm.
she's old. She's too old as well.
But Jodie is like 36.
No, she's older than that.
I don't know about that. I don't know if she's that old.
She's over 40 at this point.
Okay. She doesn't look it. All right. So, guys, we've had you here for 3 hours. I appreciate your time because I know it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning for you guys at this point.
Like,
Um,
Five
how
past
can
five.
past 5? How can your fans follow you and see where to see what you're working on next? Do you have social media you can share with them?
Yeah.
what's my
We
Twitter?
most we mostly yeah. Twitter is probably it's not our favorite platform, but it's our favorite right now because that's the easiest way to communicate with fans, and
Mhm.
that's what we mostly do on there. We just answer fan questions and stuff. So on Twitter, Dotun AK, but you can just search Dotun Akande and look for his picture. For me, is Ayodele Murewa. Just look for a picture of Akogun, and that's it.
All right. I really wanted to thank you guys for spending your time with us. Um,
We had fun too. Thank you
you
very
Thank
are
much.
tremendously talented, and we will be
you.
following and promoting everything that you guys do in the future. We hope you come back. We have a tradition here at Black Comic Lords that whenever you do an interview with us, you become family. So we ask you to do a bit where you look into the camera say your name, and say that I'm a Black Comic Lord, and you get initiated into the organization. So I'm going to pull you out one by one and have you do that. Give me 1 second. Let me figure this out. No, that's me. I don't want me. I want these guys. Let's figure this out. Let me pull him out and pull. Let's start with Dotun. Let's try it. Let's try it this way. It's still me. I don't want to be here. All right. I want to pull myself out, and you just look at the camera, say your name, and say, "I'm a Black comic."
My name is Murewa Ayodele, and I'm a Black comic lord.
That was excellent. Now let's do Dotun. I've never done this before, so just bear with me. Where'd he go? Dotun, where are you? Is he having technical difficulties? Dotun is having technical difficulties. I think he lost his internet.
That's why he's today.
Is he still
He
there?
said he can.
He said he
hear
can
us.
hear us.
Oh, he can hear us, but we can't see him.
Yeah, make sure your camera's on, dude.
Is the camera off? Hold on, let me refresh. Okay.
Yeah, he's refreshing or whatever.
It's refreshing.
So
in
okay,
the interim, Gordon says Jodie Turner Smith is 38 years old.
Yeah, 38. Yeah, she's still too old. When does Storm 1 drop?
October.
So do you think you'll be able to come back on and discuss Storm 1 in October?
I should, depending on my schedule then. But I should be able to.
Okay. There he is. His mother
So-
called, so he had to take the call. All right. So, hey, look, your mother calls, you got to take the call. It's just understood. All right, Dotun, you're up next.
So I'm supposed to say what now? Sorry.
You're supposed to look into the camera, say your name, and say, "I'm a Black comic lord."
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, hi, I'm Dotun Akande, and I'm a Black comic lord.
Perfect. You guys have now been initiated into our secret society. We will
Do we
give
get
you
paid?
the secret handshakes. We don't talk about pay. Do you ask the Illuminati, are you paid? I mean, you don't ask this type of question.
You're
Yeah,
not
but
dealing with
connecting you.
Yo, guys, look, all jokes aside, it's been really fun. We do this every week. We sit up here, talk comic books, I drink whiskey. It's been really fun. I really appreciate meeting you guys, talking to you guys about your work. I really enjoyed your work. I love this book because I love pantheons and mythology. Absolutely love it. Cannot wait for issue number 3. Thank you very much. I know it's really early where you guys are. Really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
for
You
having us.
guys are welcome to come back anytime. Next time you have a project you're working on, please just email us, hit us up on Twitter, DM us. You can come on anytime you want to promote whatever you have. We'd be happy to have you.
Thank
stuff
you
too.
very much.
Guys,
In,
it's
in
Murewa's.
fact, in fact, we're
Murewa's.
going to be hitting you up when we get towards the end of Akogun, the 4th issue. We
Yeah.
got to have you guys come back and talk about what the whole run, because I have
Yeah.
questions. All right.
All right.
We'll do it again.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. And I have to find the outro video. I don't normally do this part because this is the production work. But thank you all for sitting here and watching me and Mark. This was fun, man. Those guys are really talented. You're muted. He's muted.
Sorry. Yep. Sorry. Those guys were cool. Really enjoyed them. The fact that they're over in Nigeria right now, it's like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They spent 3 hours with us when they didn't have to be talking to us about their works. Really appreciate it. So for those of you guys who are still here with us, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Peace. Black Comic Lords, we got you.